We are live now.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order at 10 o'clock a.m. Much has happened since the last time that we met, and I hope that everyone is well, you and your loved ones. And as many of you know, the governor has recently signed Public Act 1010640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during this COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that I, as head of the Chicago Plan Commission, determined that an in-person meeting of the Chicago Plan Commission is not practical or prudent. I want to make sure our virtual meeting meets all the conditions of Open Meetings Act as amended. Therefore, I am making a determination pursuant to the newly created section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that an in-person meeting of this commission on Chicago landmarks is not practical or prudent. Similarly, I am also making a determination pursuant to the newly created section 7E5 that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is unfeasible for at least one member of the Chicago Plan Commission or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place, inasmuch as there is no physical meeting place. Before we get into the full meeting agenda for the June 18th, 2020 Chicago Plan Commission meeting, I would like to ask everyone that because we are meeting virtually, please be mindful of your surroundings in terms of noise. Please remember to keep yourself muted when you are not speaking. The meeting is being recorded and also live streamed for public viewing, and we welcome the public. Lastly, if you are an active participant in the meeting, especially if you are speaking, please do not watch the live stream as this will cause audio interference. Thank you. I want to also quickly provide guidance to those who have pre-registered to provide testimony on the cases presented for public hearing today. Those who requested to testify at the Plan Commission today should have already submitted testimony forms, which included the speaker's full name and address, as well as a public hearing item number. Those items have been gathered by the staff. I would also like to remind our presenters to please be mindful of their presentation length and to please stay on point in a concise and efficient manner so as to respect the time of all in attendance. Out of respect for others, speakers should limit their comments to 3 minutes. When your name is called, your microphone will be unmuted to allow you to make your comments. Please attempt to refrain from repeating comments as much as you can that have been already made. The public comment portion of the meeting is not a question and answer session of staff or the applicant, but an opportunity for attendees to voice their opinions on a particular proposal. Out of respect for others, please do not interrupt or disrupt the speakers. Any individual who disrupts the presentation or any subsequent comment session may be muted and removed from the virtual hearing session. So with that, I will do the roll call. And let me begin. First, Commissioner Brumfeld.
Here.
Commissioner Burnett. I'm sure will be joining us.
Commissioner Biaggi is here, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. You are first on the list, and somehow when my screen opened up, I went to Brumfield. So thank you, Commissioner Biaggi. I appreciate that. All right, and Commissioner Burnett, Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Flores.
Here.
Commissioner Garza.
Here.
Commissioner Grossman. Commissioner Kelly. Commissioner Lightfoot, not here. Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
Commissioner Moore. I realize others may join us in a few, and we'll let you know when that happens. Commissioner Novata.
Here.
Oh, Commissioner Murphy's here.
Oh, great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Osterman. Commissioner Peterson. Commissioner Reyes.
Here.
Commissioner Searle.
Here.
Commissioner Shaw.
Here.
Commissioner Sposato.
Here.
Commissioner Tunney.
Here.
Commissioner Villegas.
Here.
And Commissioner Wagaspot.
Here.
Y'all
And thank you very much, commissioners. I'm reading this from a screen rather than a piece of paper, so hopefully when we do roll call votes, you will let me know, I'm sure, hopefully I won't, but you will let me know if I miss your name. We will now approve the minutes from the May 21st, 2020 regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting. The minutes were distributed prior to today's hearing. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the Chicago Plan Commission held on May 21st, 2020?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Garza. I do need to do a roll call vote on that as well. Commissioner Biaggi,
Yes.
Brumfeld,
Yes.
Burnett, have you arrived yet? Cordova is a yes. Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Garza,
Yes.
Grossman, have you arrived? Kelly, Lyons,
Yes.
Moore, Murphy,
Yes.
Novada,
Yes.
Osterman, Peterson, both not here. Reyes,
Yes.
Searle,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Pizzotto,
Yes.
Tunney, Villegas, Tunney, I know is here. Villegas
Yes.
and White Spot.
Yes.
Thank you. If we were in person, we would have just done a nays and ayes. Anyway, motion does pass. Thank you. We do have a deferral prior to commencing the public hearings. We have one case for which the applicant is seeking a deferral to a date certain of July 16th, 2020. The item is listed as D5 on the posted agenda. A proposed plan development submitted by the Academy for Global Citizenship for the property generally located at 4930-5004 West 44th Street. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property from RS-3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to C2-1 Motor Vehicle Related Commercial District, and then to an institutional plan development. The applicant proposes the construction of a 2-story academic building. The proposed primary use of the resulting development is a school with accessory uses of urban farm, multi-unit residential, and community garden. The overall plan development will contain 29 accessory vehicular parking stalls and 90 bicycle parking stalls, 20230 in the 22nd Ward. Can I get a motion to defer this item to the July 16th, 2020 Plan Commission?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Searle, seconded by
Smita, Commissioner Shaw.
Commissioner Shaw. Thank you. Again, I must do a roll call vote. Commissioner Biaggi,
Yes.
Brumfeld.
Yes.
I'm not sure if Burnett is here yet. Burnett, Cox, Cordova is a yes. Cordova is yes. Cox is a yes. Flores,
Yes.
Garza,
Yes.
Kelly. I'm sorry, I have to.
Kevin.
Lyons, Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Novada,
Yes.
Reyes, Commissioner Reyes,
Yes.
Commissioner Searle,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes.
Commissioner Sposato,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunney,
Yes.
Commissioner Villegas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wegasbach. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Motion
Yes.
passed. Okay,
Mr.
we
Chairman, I
now,
just wanted to mention that Commissioner Peterson is here. He's on another call and we can't hear him right now, but he did send an email to let us know he's here.
okay, fantastic. And do we have registered votes on him? Oh, okay, we now will take public testimony for the items on today's agenda. I do have several people signed in to speak. They have requested to speak on various items. As I call your name, please wait a moment until you're unmuted. It'll take a couple of seconds, and then you may proceed to speak. Please reminded that you will have 3 minutes to speak. I have 3 speakers who would like to speak about item D2 at 1815 North Laramie and 1830 North LeClaire. Those speakers are Deacon Andrew Washington, Ruben S. Robinson, and Alam Velez, followed by 1 speaker for item D4 at 1200 West Carroll, Butler Adams. So let me proceed to Deacon Andrew. Deacon Andrew Washington, excuse me, Deacon Andrew Washington.
Chairman, there are several people under the same computer. So should we still have a clock for each one of them?
Each one, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate that.
You can just make sure they can hear you and see you. Yeah.
If you could state your name, that would be great.
My name is Deacon Andrew Washington.
Mhm.
Welcome, Mr. Washington.
Your time's going, so you should.
I'm here to speak in behalf of By the Hand for the support of Northern Austin Community Center. I'm a deacon at New Galilean B Baptist Church. I've been in the neighborhood for 47 years, and I saw many changes came in the neighborhood. I saw the good, bad, and the ugly. When I first came in, I saw the good. As years went by, I saw it deteriorate with drugs, prostitution, stuff of that nature. And as we went on, a young lady came in the neighborhood named Danita Travis. She put a change in the neighborhood. She saw things that was going on. I looked down the alley, I saw her coming. I said, the police had put someone out here to capture these young kids. I thought it was a prostitute, but it was a lady to bring the neighborhood back together. She has built 3 schools, a church, and I'm in support for her. The neighborhood is in support for her, and we hope she can go further. God bless you. God be with you.
Thank you, Deacon. Appreciate that very much. Ruben S. Robinson.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Hope that you are.
Fantastic. Good morning. My name is Reverend Ruben Robinson. And I am the CEO of Empowerment Consulting Financial Group. I'm here in support of the North Austin Community Center, along with Danita Travis, By the Hand Club, and the Honorable 37th Ward Alderman Emma Mitch. My connection to By the Hand Club, when Alderman Mitch had asked Danita to get in contact with me, they were building the second building of By the Hand Club in Austin. So it's been a very good relationship that we've been over the last 5 years. We put more than 80 people to work on in the neighborhood on 2 different projects that I work with them on. So this project not only it transformed the neighborhood, but individuals in our community as well. I remember this young man named Jimmy, he saw me in the grocery store and he told me, hey, Reverend Robinson, he said that the job from By the Hand Club, when I was working in By the Hand Club, the company that I was working for, they brought me in full time. And so doing that, I mean, since he's been working full time, he says he bought several buildings and he's gotten married, and he's raising a family. So he's doing relatively well because of the connection with the By the Hand Club project. The project I've worked on with By the Hand Club, we're not required to do MBE or WBE and local hires due to a city land sales agreement. However, By the Hand Club supports the community by bringing in community hires and making that a #1 priority to them, and working connection with the community as well. So I have served on the leadership committee for the North Austin Community Center through the Honorable Emma Mitch. And I'm eager to put more people to work on this project, looking forward to do approximately 70 people to 100 people to work on this new project. So this is the type of project that I'm very proud of, and I like them to continue to build in the community. And I've been a part of the community for the last 45 years. So great change, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Alam Velez. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alma Velez. I am a grandparent and a foster great aunt of 6 By the Hand students, 1 in 7th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade, and kindergarten. I am here in support of North Community Center. I learned about By the Hand by living and witnessing the making of it in the neighborhood. Also by Moving Everest Charter School, where 5 of my children attend. I am so grateful to By the Hand for so many different things. My foster great niece, Shakola, was behind in reading when she started 5 years ago. Today, she is a 5th grader reading 7th grade level. All of my children have made so many improvements. My 4th grader was shy, very quiet, wouldn't speak at all. One day, Miss Jasenia encouraged her to have faith and confidence in herself. They went to camp one summer and she came back a brand new person, speaking and participating in all of the activities. I am grateful to By the Hand for many things, making my children feel safe in the new community. I became so involved at By the Hand that I am now working there. I am excited for more families to have the help and support I was given, and I'm really looking forward to all the ways the community center will serve our children. We absolutely need to replicate what By the Hand has done for my family to support other families. I am so excited that this new community center will serve 600 more kids. It's exactly what we need in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize on the name, on the typo. For the record, it is Alma Velez.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, on item D4 at 1200 West Carroll, we have Mr. Butler Adams. We'll give a second for you to be unmuted. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Mr. Adams.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
You can.
Okay, sorry about that. Good morning, commissioners. This is Butler Adams, and I wanted to say that I am in favor of the proposal at 1200 Carroll. Got a chance to go to the community meeting earlier this year. There was not too much pushback on this project. Architecturally, I think the building is very, very unique. It's certainly an improvement on some of the earlier buildings in this general area. I do think that the building fixed the context of the neighborhood, which is growing in terms of height and density. Again, architecturally, like the planes and the cantilevers of this design. And again, the density, things are moving west in this area. I know that recently the alderman has been talking about maybe lifting the fact that you can't have residential in this area. And I do hope that Sterling Bay takes that to note in some of its future and upcoming projects like at ADM. I would also just like to thank all of you all for helping to get certain things passed, like last week with the Woodlawn plan. I just want to thank all of you all for helping to get that passed. But in terms of today and this proposal, I think the architecture is good. I like the height, density. Again, I'm glad things are moving westward. And I look forward to seeing this project and many more in the West Loop move forward in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, so now next on the agenda are matters submitted in accordance with the Interagency Planning Referral Act. Do I have a motion to approve items number 1 through 2 under the negotiated sale heading?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner, who was that?
Commissioner Lyons.
Oh, great, Commissioner Lyons. I was hoping, I was getting better at recognizing people's voices. Okay. now-
Second it, Commissioner Garza.
Seconded by Commissioner Garza. I think I recognize your voice now. So, all right. So I do again roll call vote. Commissioner Biaggi, Brumfeld,
Yes.
Burnett, Cordova's a yes. Cox,
Yes.
Lotus,
Yes.
Garza,
Yes.
Kelly. No, I'm sorry, Kelly's not here. Lyons,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Novata.
Yes.
And you said Commissioner Peterson, you said is here. Is he prepared to vote? No vote on there. Okay, Commissioner Reyes,
Yes.
Commissioner Searle,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw. Stepped away. Commissioner Sposato,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunney,
Yes.
Commissioner Villegas.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a yes, and Commissioner Wagasbach. Motion passes. Thank you, commissioners. Matters to be heard now in accordance with the Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance and/or the Chicago zoning ordinance. The first item on what we will now move on to the public hearing presentation portion for matters submitted in accordance with Lake Michigan and Chicago Lakefront Protection Ordinance and the Chicago zoning ordinance. First item on the agenda is a proposed resolution recommending a proposed rule authorizing the chair to promulgate emergency rooms and rules, including regarding public attendance and/or participation during public disasters or other emergencies. The proposed rule would read as follows. Quote, when due to public disasters or other emergencies, the state of Illinois and/or the city of Chicago have, by executive proclamation or order, legislation or otherwise, limited where, when, and/or how many people may publicly gather, and/or the state of Illinois has suspended or modified portions of the Open Meetings Act for the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the state of Illinois and/or city of Chicago, the chairman shall have the power to promulgate emergency rules, including regarding public attendance and/or participation, not inconsistent with such directives from the state of Illinois and/or the city of Chicago. The secretary shall ensure that such emergency rules are posted on the commission's website, and such emergency rules shall last until the state of Illinois and/or the city of Chicago rescind such directives. Noah Zafranek will share one slide containing the proposed rule. You'll see that up on the slideshow up on your screens. Do commissioners have any questions of staff on this item? Thank you, Noah. Do I have a motion on the resolution recommending the adoption and approval of this proposed rule?
Move to pass on the proposed rules. Alderman Wagisback.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
Sorry, Commissioner.
Second,
I'm sorry, did I
Commissioner.
miss what you said? Commissioner Wagisbach, did I miss what you said?
No, I missed said my own title. Sorry. I'm joking.
Okay,
It's okay.
I like jokes, but I missed that. one.
Seconded by Commissioner Novara.
Thank you, Commissioners Wagenspach and Navarra. Okay, back to the roll call vote. Commissioner Biaggi,
Yes.
Brumfeld,
Yes.
Holder was a yes. Cox? No vote. Flores?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Kelly? No, sorry. Lyons?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Novada?
Yes.
Reyes?
Yes.
Searle?
Yes.
Shaw?
Yes.
Pizzotto?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
Villegas? And
Yes.
Wagisbach?
Yes.
All right. Motion passes.
And
Next item.
apologies, but I was trying to unmute. Cox was a yes.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a proposed amendment.
Commissioner Biaggi had wanted to be recognized as a yes vote for the omnibus items. She didn't unmute in time. She just sent an email.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks,
And
Noah.
the next item on the agenda is a proposed amendment to institutional plan development 1150 submitted by the Hand Club for Kids and Grace and Peace Fellowship for the property generally located at 1830-1864 North LeClaire Avenue and 1815-1915 North Laramie Avenue. The applicants propose to increase the size of and as a result amend the boundaries of the existing plan development number 1150 to include property located at 1815-1915 North Laramie Avenue, currently zoned residential plan development 1149. The resulting plan developments will have 4 sub-areas and will add additional allowed uses, including sports and recreation, indoor and outdoor, and accessory parking. The plan development will allow the construction of a 2-story, 140,000 square foot recreation/community center and have a total floor area ratio of 1.2. Proposal will include 250 accessory vehicular parking spaces. This is in the 37th Ward. Heidi Sperry will provide the context overview, and the applicant will present the proposal in no more than 20 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Sperry.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. I'm Heidi Sperry with the Department of Planning and Development. I want to confirm that you can see the screen entitled North Austin Community Center.
We can see that.
Terrific. I'm joined today by representatives of the project team of the North Austin Community Center. The applicants appear here today to propose the amendment to the boundaries of institutional plan development number 1150 to include a parcel of city-owned vacant land that currently exists as residential plan development 1149. The land sale portion of this proposal has been approved earlier in the meeting, and the Department of Planning and Development has consented to the proposed PD amendment to proceed today. The proposal includes the development of an urban campus and the construction of a 140,000 square foot recreational center with 250 auxiliary parking spaces and outdoor playing courts. The subject site is located at 1830 North LeClaire and 1850 North Laramie in the Austin community area on the city's far west side in the 37th ward. Austin is the largest community area in the city with the second largest population, nearly 100,000 residents. Per 2019 demographics data from CMAP, roughly 1/3 of the population of the Austin community is under the age of 19. The proposed community and recreation center will provide critical health, wellness, and educational resources to Austin youth and benefits to the community at large. Mayor Lightfoot's Invest Southwest initiative includes Austin in its neighborhood-focused development strategy. Development of the proposed project has been a long-time goal in the Austin community. And most recently, when Austin residents and stakeholders participated in the January 2020 Invest Southwest kickoff meeting, the need for enhanced youth-friendly spaces was identified as a critical one. The proposed development is complementary to the goals of Invest Southwest initiative, as well as complying with the stated objectives of the plans for the area that are seen here. The site is roughly 3 blocks north of North Avenue and is bounded by Laramie Avenue on the west, on the Metro Railroad tracks on the north, LeClaire Avenue on the east, and a public alley on the south. The applicants propose to add additional land to be acquired from the city to the development, and as a result, the boundaries of institutional plan development 1150 will be amended to include the property at 1815 to 1915 North Laramie, which is currently zoned as residential plan development 1149. You can see in the center of this slide. The site will then be rezoned to a unified B3-2 commercial shopping district prior to reestablishing institutional plan development 1150 as amended. The site is located within the Armitage Industrial Corridor, and the uses proposed today have been approved as permitted uses under PD 1150 and have been determined to be consistent with this portion of the industrial corridor. Graham Grady of Taft Law, who represents the applicant, will now provide additional details on the proposal.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Chairman Cordova and members of the Plan Commission. My name is Graham Grady, and along with my law partner, Sylvia Mikas, it's our pleasure to represent the applicant in this case. I'll introduce those who will be our speakers, as well as those who will be available to answer questions. First, Anita Travis is the Executive Director of By the Hand Club for Kids. Next, Pastor John Zayas is the Senior Pastor of Grace and Peace Fellowship. David Doig is the President of Chicago Neighborhood Initiative, CNI, and is the leader of our development team. Sierra Boatwright is also with CNI. Joe Bueller, our project architect, will present the plans, and Lue Abuna of KLOA is available to answer questions with regard to parking. We would also like to take a moment to thank Alderman Emma Mitz for her wonderful support of this project and for leading our community approval initiative. We also would like to thank Heidi Sperry and other members of the Department of Planning and Development and other city agencies who have reviewed and improved this project. At this time, I would like to give a brief overview. As Heidi mentioned, the project consists of 9.8 acres. Currently, 1.3 acres in the northeast corner is owned by Grace and Peace Fellowship. The southeast 1.5 acres is currently owned by the Hand Club for Kids, and the west 6.8 acres is currently owned by the City of Chicago. The application is to combine all the land together into one solidified plan development. which will serve the surrounding communities with the North Austin Community Center. It's now my extreme pleasure to introduce to you Danita Travis.
Good morning. Again, my name is Donita Travis, and I'm founder and executive director of By the Hand Club for Kids, where I've served as a full-time volunteer for 20 years. Before starting By the Hand Club, I was co-founder and president of an ad agency near Cabrini Green and started volunteering with kids there in 1997. And it was no time until the kids stole my heart and I left advertising and started By the Hand Club in 2001 with 16 kids. And today we're serving nearly 1,600 kids in 4 different neighborhoods at 5 clubs, primarily on the south and west sides. Our mission is to take kids by the hand in kindergarten and walk with them all the way through college, holistically, mind, body, and soul. And the way that we do this is we partner with Chicago Public Schools, who recommend to us kids who are not meeting reading standards and most likely to drop out of school. I just want to say that before COVID hit, our kids were averaging over a 3.0 GPA and 2/3 were on the honor roll. And then also importantly, since COVID hit, we have switched to an e-learning program. We've had 74% participation and 98% of our kids have moved forward in their reading. So we're preventing COVID learning loss and we're really excited about that. Just a few more metrics. We're serving 1,570 kids. We fully scholarship our kids at a cost to us of $6,500. So our budget is over $1 million each year. That money comes mostly from private donations with only 6% from the government. We employ 139 full-time and part-time employees, and 68% of our staff are African Americans. Just real quickly, Noah, if you can show the before and after pictures in Austin. There you go, you just passed that one. So we've been in Central Austin, Lake and Laramie for 13 years. And one of the first things we did is we bought a nightclub called the 417 Club, known for violent crime, knocked it down and built this beautiful 26,000 square foot facility you see on the east side of the street. Wanted to say that that was with a land deal. And so we had 24% MBE, 4% WBE, 50% local hiring. But then if you go to the next slide, we then bought an empty warehouse on the west side of the street. There you go, empty warehouse and a garage, and knocked those down and built this beautiful 50,000 square foot facility. And then we're just finishing up a 30,000 square foot addition to that facility. Those were not land sales, but we worked with Reverend Robinson and Alderman Mitz and actually put 80 local residents to work on these 2 projects. So real excited about that. Also, we're a Pritzker Traubert Chicago Prize finalist for our continued expansion here in Central Austin. So long story short, this is what we want to do in North Austin, just 2 miles from here. We want to make a By the Hand Club available to 600 more kids in the North Austin neighborhood. We can't wait to get there. We're excited because we'll be able to serve 600 more kids. We're excited because we've been talking with a lot of schools and parents, and there's a strong demand and need for a By the Hand Club there, which will exist in this North Austin Community Center. We're excited because we'll be partnering with Grace and Peace Church, and they will be offering holistic family services. So in closing, I just want to say, especially given this moment that our city and our country is in, I am just so honored and inspired by our aldermen and also the city of Chicago to arise and build a brighter future and a more just future for our children and families. And this is part of it, and we look forward to being a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we would like to hear from Pastor Zayas of Grace and Peace Fellowship. Pastor?
And I want to note for the record that Commissioner Burnett has joined us.
Pastor Zayas? We seem to have some technical difficulties. Let me just summarize what Pastor Zayas would present to you. Grace and Peace Fellowship has been at this location since 2008. In addition to providing church services, they provide numerous social service operations with service in North Austin community and surrounding communities. They are a bedrock of this community and provide faith-based as well as open to the public social service facilities, including daycare, a food pantry, and many other social services. And Grace and Peace will continue to provide those social services on a going forward basis upon the completion of this campus project. And I'm sorry that Pastor Zayas cannot be with you, but he is with us in spirit. At this point, I would like to provide just a brief summary of the land uses. You can see here the contextual slides. You can see the vacant land in the upper right-hand corner. The Grace and Peace Church is up near that number 4. The rest of the land is vacant. You can see the street context slides here as well. The current zoning, as Heidi mentioned, is PD 1150 and PD 1149. If we can take a look at the site plan, please, Noah, briefly, the uses that will be allowed if the Plan Commission approves this today. In sub-area A, the permitted uses will be religious assembly, auditorium, school, community center, daycare, banquet facilities, food pantry, counseling services, and social service programs. In sub-area B, the permitted uses will be this is where we'll establish the 140,000 square foot North Austin Community Center. The permitted uses will be after-school related programs, community center, recreation building, indoor sports and recreation, banquet, and outdoor sports and meeting halls. In sub-area C, the permitted uses will be the outdoor athletic facilities, and in sub-area D, the permitted uses will be accessory parking. At this time, I'd like to introduce the project architect, Joe Bueller of Team A Architects. Joe?
Thank you, Graham. Maybe if we could jump back, yep, right there, it would be a good way to start. I'm just going to walk through a few things about the program. On the left, or sort of the street to the left of the page would be Laramie Avenue, just to orient ourselves. On the east side of the site would be LeClaire Avenue. On the north boundary of the site is the tracks, and then we have an alley that is bounding the south end of this site that we're discussing. The programmatic goals of the overall design are to incorporate the existing Grace and Peace facility, which is in the northeast corner. It's a 3-story building. With the new Austin Community Center indoor-outdoor recreational facilities into a campus setting with ease of access to parking, convenient pickup and drop off, to blend the facilities into the neighborhood context in which they exist. We want to promote safety between the facilities, both the Grace and Peace building as well as the new Austin Center, Community Center. So we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into the site plan. Another programmatic goal is to relate the buildings aesthetically with other by-the-hand developments while also providing a cohesiveness with the existing uses. If we can then shift to the site plan. I think it was one couple up. That's probably.
And I just want to let you all know that you're at your halfway point on your presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
There we go. That's great. The overall description of the site is we have kind of 5 main pieces to this campus. The first, again, in the northeast corner is the existing Grace and Peace Church. Building is 3 stories tall. Directly south of that will be a shared parking lot for both the Grace and Peace as well as North Austin Community Center. Directly west of that will be the new 140,000 square foot facility. Directly south is the outdoor activity space. And then really what combines all this together is a private drive that does kind of a zigzag through the site and is a primary circulation for traffic. In addition, just to kind of like touch on why the building was placed in its location is it's in part because of, well, there's an existing building, first of all, on the site. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to create a very safe passage between these two facilities for students, and to keep pedestrian traffic out of the way of vehicular traffic. And so positioning them adjacent to one another allows us to keep the site as safe as we can. The other advantage is I feel like that, you know, if we consider how the sun is in shadow affects the site. If we place the building to the northwest corner, we get the most sun exposure with the least amount of shading to the remainder of the site. It also backs up against the tracks, and so there's a nicety to, you know, keeping the building sort of tucked up in the corner. I want to talk a little bit more about just the massing and fenestration. I will try to move through this rather quickly. Maybe if we look at the aerial perspective first, that would be great. And then we'll get to the plans. I'll try to make this quick. I understand we're short on time. The building is divided into 3 volumes. The two
What's you're short on time is that all developments of projects are limited to 20 minutes.
Okay. The 2 lower height volumes, which range from 28 to 33 feet, face Laramie Avenue and the South Private Drive, which can constitute the primary views of the building and relate to the scale of residential and commercial uses across the street. The facades of the lower height volumes include many window openings and variegated textures, colors that further relate to the adjacent neighborhood uses across Laramie and create a lively pedestrian-friendly experience. The tallest volume, which houses the athletic turf fields, is tucked into the northeast corner of the building. It is shielded from public view and relates to the existing and adjacent 3-story Grace and Peace building. The volume rises above the lower volumes with a translucent exterior wall system, which will allow natural light to infiltrate deeper into the middle of the building, reducing energy demands on artificial lighting. A circulation bar provides a separation between volumes and further breaks down the mass and creates a clear entry point on both the West Laramie Avenue side and the east side, which abuts the parking lot. Storefront glazing is used at these entry points to signify entry. In front of the entry points, there are terraces to promote positive community interaction and enhance the experience of the building. And then one other note I just want to make is the building is set back from Laramie 22 feet to provide a substantial green buffer that is planted with trees. The plans which you're on right now, Noah, the primary program here is we have entry points that, like I said, at the west and the east side. Adjacent to each entry point will be a secure check-in administrative offices, one for By the Hand Club and the other for the athletic program. A kitchen is central between both entry points along that sort of circulation bar, and it serves both the after-school program as well as concessions for the athletic program. Trash and loading is directly south, and it's adjacent to the private drive for deliveries and trash pickup. On the west side of the kitchen is By the Hands cafeteria, and also some on the first floor we have 4 classrooms for the program. On the east side of the kitchen is a lobby, gathering space, and meeting rooms for the athletic program. North of the main circulation bar on the first floor is on the west side would be a multi-purpose room, assembly room for By the Hand Club, bathrooms for both programs, a large multi-purpose room for the athletic program, 3 basketball courts, and 2 athletic turf fields, indoor athletic turf fields. The second floor is limited to 6 additional classrooms and a reading room for the By the Hand Club after-school program. The next slide is the roof plan. It shows the 3 volumes I discussed, and that is separated by an east-west circulation bar. And we're proposing a solar array that's being pursued for the large roofscape. That's the program in a nutshell. Graham, would you like to take over at this point?
Yes, thank you very much. Very briefly, there are significant community benefits associated with the project. First of all, there will be full MBE WBE compliance. The project will target 26% MBE, 6% WBE, and 50% city residency for the construction. CNI sent letters to numerous women and minority-owned businesses. The project timeline is site remediation will commence in August, construction will commence in September, and the scheduled opening is September of 2021 in time for the school year. We are unaware of any opposition to this project. Our team is available to answer questions, and that completes our presentation, and we thank you for your favorable consideration.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Do I have any questions from?
Chairman, if I may just present the department's
sorry.
recommendation.
You know what? Thank you, Heidi. I'm so sorry. Yes, please do that.
Thank you. The Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the materials submitted by the applicant and has concluded that the proposal would be appropriate for the following reasons. The site encourages safe and efficient circulation for all users. It promotes transit and it minimizes traffic congestion while encouraging alternate modes of transportation.
Okay.
Additionally, the proposed development is designed to enhance the existing and surrounding neighborhood by promoting pedestrian interest through its design, landscape, and public open spaces, and providing an active presence along Laramie Avenue. Additionally, it respects the existing residential neighbors with its height, massing, building materials, and overall design. Finally, please refer to my staff report for further details on this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, the zoning administrator recommends that the application for the amendment to Institutional Plan Development 1150 be approved and forwarded to City Council Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards as such. Thank you.
Okay, now, thank you so much, Ms. Berry. I appreciate it. And I appreciate developers staying under the 20-minute mark. You guys were about 17 minutes or so. So now do we have any questions? I've got a couple of questions from commissioners. I've got Commissioner Villegas and Commissioner Searle. Go ahead, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This sounds like an exciting project, and I'm glad to see something being done there. My ward is right next door. The railroad tracks is what separates the 37th ward from the 36th ward. And so sounds like a very exciting project. How is this project being funded? I was just curious. I didn't see that.
I'd like to ask Danita Travis to respond to that question regarding funding.
Sure. So it is a $25 million project. That's the uses. The sources are $6 million new market tax credits, and Dave Doig from CNI can talk more about that. We've raised $4 million in a very short time. We have $15 million to raise. We have $4 million in grant request out toward that $15 million. And we have a letter from our bank. Providence Bank has always, what they'll do is they'll provide up to 50% in construction financing. So we're at a point where with the financing, we could move forward, but we want to raise as much as we can in advance to starting the project. I think I failed to comment, but in Central Austin, we've actually, by the Hand Club, has raised $75 million since 2007 for operating and capital. And again, that's mostly private funding. So thankfully, we have a strong capacity for fundraising. Alderman Emma Mitz is here with me, and at some point she can just attest to to our ability to get things done along with her help. We stand on her shoulders, but yeah, we'll get this done.
No, that sounds exciting. And again, I'm very excited that this project is coming to the area there. Like, as I mentioned, I'm right next door, and with the high schools that are along Grand Avenue, Prosser and Spear, it seems like it would be a natural fit for them to have something to do after school and keep our youth busy. Big building, exciting, very supportive of this. As it relates to MWBE participation, we'll love to have the opportunity to also kind of see your plan and who are some of the contractors there, given that our ward is right next door. I want to make sure there's some diversity and parity as it comes to contracting and also some of the workforce as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman, we'll be happy to connect you with C&I directly. Thank you.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations, Emma Mitz.
Thank you.
And Alderwoman, I'm going to call on you in just a few minutes. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Searle, followed by Commissioner Burnett, followed by Commissioner Nevada. You're on mute. There you go.
Okay.
Now you're good.
Thank you. I think the program for this facility is wonderful, and great that this is going to go into this neighborhood. You mentioned, the architect mentioned the use of color, but what I'm seeing, at least on our screens, is all shades of gray, and I worry about children coming up to the building and sort of, it looks a little bit institutional. I'm just wondering if there's a chance to maybe enhance a little bit more on the color scheme. It looks like this is mostly concrete and maybe tilt up slab construction, but in any case, whatever could be done to enhance probably, say, the entry areas and anything around the building that might help soften it up a little bit, I think would be good for the building, and probably not a lot of money.
Joe, do you want to comment briefly on the prospects for our enhancing with some color?
Yeah, that would be a very easy thing for us to do, and we would be delighted to pursue that further. We went through a couple of rounds of revisions on just the exterior treatment, and this current rendition of it is to relate to other contextual buildings in the area. And so we kind of sampled like a field of color on other buildings to be able to relate more, especially to the residential neighbors across the street. So I think that's why we are here currently, but we are more than willing to kind of add some color pops, especially at the entries. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Thank you, Commissioner Searle.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Commissioner Burnett, followed by Commissioner Nevada.
Thank you very much, commissioners. First of all, I've known this organization for over 20 years. Matter of fact, my family members have participated in their program. This is a wonderful organization. It's godsend. It helped to save a lot of young people in challenging neighborhoods. They started out in Cabrini Green in a little apartment, in one of the high-rise apartments, and they've just been growing from there. And we're very grateful to God that there are so many Christian people around the city and the county who support this organization and support these young people in the cities. This organization would not be able to do it. This organization, excuse my background noises of my phone. This organization, I'm a little jealous because I wish that they were doing, I'm sorry. I wish that they were doing this more in my ward, but I don't have the room for them yet. We're constantly looking for more. I congratulate Emma Mitz on the first one and the second one. I have visited the other facility that they have in Austin. It's beautiful. It helps a lot of young people. It brings them, it helps them with morals. It keeps them out of trouble. They help them with their homework in the evening. They feed them. They let them play sports. I mean, it's very holistic. And not only do this organization support the young people, they also support the family members of the young people. And they have a relationship with several other institutions. I think it's Trinity Christian College, where the kids can get scholarships and go to college, if I'm not mistaken. They've helped many young people who, in my community, who were like, you call them Ritalin kids, who had to take medicine because of their their behavior activity and made them scholars. They have graduated from college, have gotten good jobs. And when our school system and society have pushed them aside, this organization embraced them, loved them, and helped them to grow. I think this is a great development. I commend them. I know Donita is a go-getter. She'll raise the money to make this happen, just like she have in several other communities throughout the city of Chicago. I support this 100%. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Commissioner Nevada, followed by Commissioner Cox, then Commissioner Wagesbach.
Chair, I'll be brief. I just wanted to say how exciting this project is. It's also kind of the greatest hits of community development folks between here at CNI and Graham as the attorney, Pastor Zayas, who I met over 20 years ago. This is just really exciting. Danita, Travis, congrats on your great work, and congrats to you, Alderman Mitz, for this really exciting project in your work.
Thank you, Commissioner. I couldn't quite hear everything you said, but it sounded quite positive, so we appreciate the energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cox, followed by Commissioner Wagesbach, and then Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I wanted to again extend my congratulations to the complete team. I toured Grace and Peace Fellowship with Pastor John and Alderman Mitz and saw the extraordinary work that they have done. I think the pastor and the alderman have literally willed this into being, and it couldn't have happened without their tenacity. And early on, I challenged them to make neighborhood design excellence a cornerstone. This is a very difficult program to make fit into a neighborhood because it effectively, like the Pullman Center in South Chicago, it's an enormous big box. You could mistake it as an industrial size floor plate, but I think the architects have worked really hard to make it a context sensitive building. I will certainly support my colleague Sarah's comments about the lack of color. You know, I don't think anyone would mistake the Comer Center as a building that's anything other than full of joy and life because of the aggressive use of color. So I would just encourage the architects to not mistake the residential context and the painting or the color scheme of the residential houses as the instigator for yours, because this could be mistaken as an industrial building. And one of the things I guess you get to use for free of charge is color. And I know that in your other buildings by the hand, you use the color and super graphics to great effect. I just would encourage you to make this building, put a smile on the kid's face when they come to it and know that it's for them. But I applaud the team, Team A, for making a really difficult program fit really nicely into the context of the neighborhood. So I have enormous confidence in this team. I've seen the work and visited the facilities of By the Hand. And I also know, again, from the kind of inspired partnership that Alderman has with the pastor, that this is going to be a community hub. So really congratulations to Alderman Mitz. This fits squarely within the goals of Invest Southwest. And I'm just thrilled that this is going to be one of the buildings that anchor the strategy. Thank you.
Commissioner Wagesbach, followed by Commissioner Flores, then Commissioner Esposado.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just want to reiterate what our colleagues have stated. I think, using the spirit of the Alderwoman's and the way she approaches things in the color of the building would be important. as it rises up, I think, in this community. When we've looked back over the years that I've worked with her trying to get these kind of projects, I'm just absolutely elated to see this type of project moving forward, this one in particular for our colleague, and would love to see this continued use and direction of the development funds going to the south and west as the mayor, DPD, and the communities want to see. So congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Flores, followed by Commissioner Sposado.
Good morning. So I think it's been said multiple times. I think we understand that this is a great, organization, a great program that's happening here, but that's not necessarily reflected on the scheme of the exterior of the building. So again, just trying to make it more inspiring for the youth, and have it be its own scheme, really not having to match what's around it if it's not going to inspire all the youth going inside. That would be my only comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Flores. Any comment from the developers on that? Commissioner Sposado, followed by Commissioner Reyes.
Thank you very much. I just want to congratulate my colleague, Alderman Mitz. Alderman, awesome looking project to me, even with the color looking the way it is. So just an amazing building. I know as an alderman, these things don't just happen. I'm sure you've been working a long time to get this. So just once again, just really want to congratulate you and the designer. To me, it looks awesome. So that's all I needed to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Reyes.
Yeah, maybe I missed it, but I'm interested to know what's going to be the cost to the families, the youth, the children that are going to be attending the community center.
Danita, Travis, will you please address that? Thank you.
So we actually scholarship the kids, so there's no cost to the families who attend By the Hand Club. And then modeled after the Pullman Center, there will be a nominal fee for other activities. And Dave Doig, do you want to talk about how that's worked at the Pullman Center?
Sure. So this is David Doig from Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives. What we've done in Pullman is basically discounted after school and youth programs through fundraising, through other support. And then in the evening hours, the facility is programmed for league rentals. So we have various soccer teams, basketball teams that will pay a usage fee or a rental fee. And then that goes to support some of the ongoing operation and costs of the facility.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Now, Alderwoman Mitz, you've heard all this praise. Would you like to make any statement?
Yes, I would. I would like to first thank everyone. And today is an exciting day. In the midst of all what we've gone through this year of 2020, I can go back 20 years ago when I've been trying to get something of this nature for youth, for our kids. I have cried and pleaded, and finally we're at this point now where this project has been discussed with various community leaders. We had various community meetings all before COVID hit, and the community were excited about it. And I'm sure today, with you all's blessing, they're going to be even more excited because we're moving a step closer to reality. I can't thank you all enough for what you're doing today in helping to support this project. We're talking about life, changing children's lives forever, giving them that opportunity and hope that they so deserve and needs. This is nothing but positive. This is what we're called to do. And I'm so happy that you all can see that this is going to be a game changer. I want to thank the mayor for her effort in just making sure commission and planning Invest Southwest and happened to look at me, cry for 20 years, saying we can't get a youth center. It's been worked on, it's been talked about it, but today we're one step closer and I'm asking for your support. Thank you all so much for giving us your time and consideration for this exciting moment. Hope it brings some joy to your life to know you're helping children, the least of these, to be able to have an opportunity at life and to pursue the happiness that they so well deserve. So thank you all and appreciate this time you've given me. And I ask for your support of this project.
Thank you so much, Alderwoman Mitz. Do I have a motion on the proposed amendment to institutional plan development number 1150 to increase this?
Motion to pass by Alderman Tunney.
Am I allowed to do that? Can I get advice on that, Noah? I have to do roll call, don't I?
You have to do a roll call, but I think Commissioner Tunney is asking to do the first motion.
Oh, okay, all right. I couldn't hear very
Yeah,
well.
you just did the motion.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it very well. All right, and then do I hear a second?
Second by Smita Shah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so do pass by Commissioner Tunney, seconded by Commissioner Shaw, and I do need to do a roll call. Can we make sure that Commissioner Peterson is unmuted? Commissioner Biaggi,
Yes.
Commissioner Brumfeld,
Yes.
Burnett,
Yes, Burnett votes yes.
Cordova is yes, Commissioner Cox,
Super enthusiastic, yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Garza,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Lightfoot, I'm sorry, I know she's not here. Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Novata,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson. Okay, I'm still not able to hear him, but I know that he's on the call. And he will, I guess, Noah, email you his vote. Or how do we handle that?
And for the record, he wanted to be recorded as a yes for all the motions.
Yes, I was going to say that after I got through the rest of this. Commissioner Reyes,
Yes.
Commissioner Searle,
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw, I assume is a yes. She gave it a second.
Sorry, there I am. Sorry, Commissioner Shah, yes.
That's okay. Commissioner Sposato.
A congratulatory yes.
Commissioner Tunney.
Yes.
Commissioner Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagasbach.
Yes.
And the motion passes. Now, let me follow up on what Noah just said. We're having a hard time hearing Commissioner Peterson, but we do, for the record, want to note that all of the previous votes did include an affirmative from Commissioner Peterson. So congratulations to all of you. The motion passes. Congratulations to all of you who are involved in this project.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Chairman
Chair.
Cordova,
Thank you.
Commissioner Cox, and all members.
Big
Thank
applause.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now celebrate. All right. The next item on the agenda is a proposed technical amendment to residential business plan development number 1252 submitted by the applicant at 733 West Lake Street Incorporated for the property generally located at 733 West Lake Street. The amendment to the plan development would allow the additional uses of liquor, packaged goods sales to be added as permitted uses within the plan development. No other changes to the plan development are proposed, and this is in the 27th Ward. Joshua Son will provide the context overview, and the applicant will present their proposal well within the 20 minutes, or at least within the 20 minutes. So go ahead, Joshua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. Let me pull up my PowerPoint. Okay, can I just confirm that you all can see it?
Yep.
Okay, great. So for the record, my name is Josh Sun with the Department of Planning and Development. This proposed development is generally located at 733 West Lake Street and is located within the near west side community area within the 27th Ward. The applicant, 733 West Lake Street Incorporated, is represented today by Greg Stedman for the purposes of amending plan development number 1252. The request is being submitted as a mandatory plan development application pursuant to the provisions of the Chicago Zoning Ordinance, Title 17 of the Municipal Code of Chicago. Due to the fact that the proposal will seek to add the additional uses of liquor packaged goods sales to the previously approved plan development. The proposed amendment to this site will not result in any changes to the bulk, density, unit count, or parking previously reviewed and approved by this body. As mentioned, the sole purpose of this request is to allow a liquor and packaged goods use to be established on the first floor of the building. All proposed work will be limited to interior renovations necessary to get the use up and running. As you can see on the slide, that is the project location. The applicant worked with Alderman Burnett and the West Loop Community Organization, WILCO, to develop an agreement all parties could get on board with. WILCO provided a letter of support January 2nd of 2020, provided that the applicant could operate within certain parameters, as you can see to the right of the screen. The subject site is located in the central planning region. The subject is located at the southeast corner of the intersection of West Lake Street and North Halsted Street, as marked by the red dot. The site is currently zoned Plan Development 1252. The subject site is a transit-served location and is situated just east of the Morgan Station that serves the Green and Pink line. The site is also located in close proximity, less than 1,500 feet, to 4 divvy stations and several bus lines. The proposed plan development is situated, the amendment to the plan development is situated adjacent to a variety of land uses, including residential, retail, and commercial uses. This amendment will not result in any changes to the approved plan development boundaries shown. With that, I will now turn the presentation over to Greg Stedman to speak briefly about the details of the plan development amendment.
Morning, Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Gregory Stedman. I am the attorney representing the applicant. The applicant has signed a lease with the Parker Building to open a fine wine, spirits, and craft beer store at 737 West Lake Street. The store itself will be just over 1,900 square feet, directly next to the row house exercise facility on Lake. Working with the owners of the Parker, the store will provide a walkable, convenient neighborhood store easily accessible to residents of the Parker and other West Loop residents. The build out itself will be done with a minority contractor. Construction will be pleasing to the neighborhood with limited signage so the views from the street will not be obstructed. The store itself will generate city and state sales tax and approximately 6 to 10 permanent jobs. The applicant has agreed to work with Alderman Burnett and the West Loop Community Organization to operate under a plan of operation for any concerns of the operation of the business. So I'd like to lastly thank Alderman Burnett and the West Loop Community Organization for their support for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Are we waiting for you, Joshua?
Yes. So just for the recommendation, the Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the material submitted by the applicant, and we've concluded that the proposed amendment to the plan development would be appropriate for the following reasons. Oops, sorry. The proposed underlying zoning for the previously established plan development was DX-7 and is consistent with the other zoning districts, both adjacent to this site and in the immediate area. Promotes economically beneficial development patterns that are compatible with the character of the existing neighborhood. It promotes transit, pedestrian, and bicycle use. And it also ensures accessibility for persons with disabilities and minimizes conflicts with existing traffic patterns in the vicinity. Please refer to my staff report for further details regarding this project and the plans identified here today. Based on the foregoing, it is the recommendation of the zoning administrator of the Department of Planning and Development that this application to amend residential business plan development number 1252 be approved and forwarded to the City Council Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards as such. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Do I have any questions of any of the commissioners? Commissioner Burnett, Alderman Burnett, would you like to make a comment?
So thank you. So as a commissioner, I have to recuse myself on this. As an alderman, I just want to say they've met with the community. This is an amenity and a convenience for people, not only in that building, but people in the surrounding area. The community's in support of it, so am I. And so I ask for this body for its support. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Alderman. Do we have any additional or any questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, do I have a motion on the proposed technical amendment to residential business plan development number 1252 to allow the additional uses of liquor and packaged goods sales to be added as permitted uses within the plan development with no other changes to the plan development?
But go ahead. I got a call. I was just thinking I got a call.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Shaw. Do I have a second?
Second by Commissioner Searle.
Commissioner Searle, any further question by the commission? Any further questions or comments? Okay, I don't see any. Let me do a roll call. Commissioner Biaggi.
Yes.
Commissioner Brumfeld. Commissioner Burnett is recused himself. Commissioner Cordova is a yes. Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes.
Commissioner Garza.
Yes.
Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Commissioner Novara.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson. Okay, he's got technical difficulties on his end. He'll send in his vote to Noah. Commissioner Reyes.
Yes.
Commissioner Searle.
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw.
Yes.
Commissioner Sposato. Commissioner Tunney.
Yes.
Commissioner Villegas.
Yes.
Commissioner Wagasbuck.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes from Peterson, Chairwoman. You have a yes from Peterson.
Thank you. That's affirmative on Commissioner Peterson. Thank you very much. The motion passes and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is a proposed plan development submitted by South Carroll LLC for the property generally located at 1200 West Carroll Avenue. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property from M2-3 Light Industry District to DX-5 Downtown Mixed Use District, and then to a business plan development. The applicant proposes the construction of a 230-foot tall mixed-use building with commercial and retail uses on the ground floor and office uses on the floors above. The overall plan development will contain 90 accessory vehicular parking stalls and 2 loading berths. The applicant will be using the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund bonus to increase the allowable FAR from the base 5.0 to a maximum of 8.1. This also is in the 27th Ward. Noah Safranek will provide the context overview, and the applicant within 20 minutes will present their proposal.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Noah Safranek, and I'm with the Department of Planning and Development. The proposed development is generally located at 1200 West Carroll Avenue, and it is located within the near West Side community area within the 27th Ward. The applicant, South Carroll LLC, and their development team appear here today for the purposes of establishing a business plan development on this subject site. This request is being submitted as a mandatory plan development application due to the fact that the proposed building will exceed 150 feet in height in the underlying DX5 Downtown Mixed Use District, as well as the request to utilize the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund bonus to increase the maximum allowable FAR of the development from a base FAR of 5.0 to 8.1. The subject site is located in the central planning region. Historically, the area around this site has been a meatpacking district. However, more recently, the general West Loop and Fulton Market areas have seen considerable amounts of development and construction. This next slide provides an illustration of the trends. Roughly in the center of the slide, you can see the proposed development rendered. with approved projects shown in tan, while additional proposals yet to receive final approval appear in blue. The site is situated at the northwest corner of the intersection of North Racine Avenue and West Carroll Avenue. The site is currently zoned M2-3, and as mentioned, the applicant would be seeking a DX5 zoning designation prior to establishing their business plan development on the subject site. The property is also located in the Kinsey Corridor Overlay District, which is accompanied by a fee for an industrial conversion from an M zone to a non-M zone property. And the property is also located in close proximity to the Morgan CTA station of the green and pink lines. Unfortunately, it is just off of this map, but just above the floor at the cross street. I don't know if you can see where my cursor's at, but at Morgan and Lake it's just off this map is the location of that station. The subject site was most recently utilized as a waste transfer station, and it is surrounded primarily by other industrial users on the east, the west, and the south. The context of the land use makeup is shown on the slide above or in front of you, and the top left is an axonometric view of the entire facility as it sits today. On the top right side is a view standing on the railroad tracks that are located north of this site and then looking back south and west. In the bottom left is a photo looking to the east along West Carroll Street at the site. And then last on the bottom right is a photo standing at Racine and Carroll looking back north and west at the site. In terms of the planning context for the site, this is in the area governed by the West Loop Design Guidelines that were published in September of 2017, as well as the Fulton Market Innovation District Plan published in July of 2014. And the development will meet the standards of both of those documents. In preparing for the development to be presented here to the Plan Commission, the applicant has underwent a series of community outreach activities. They filed their plan development application back in December of 2019. They also then had meetings with Wilco, WCA, and NOWL in November and December of 2019. And then they had a community-wide public meeting on January 22nd, 2020 in conjunction with Alderman Burnett. The community process and discussions with the Department of Planning and Development have yielded the development that you'll see presented to you today. At this point, I'd like to turn the presentation over to the attorney and architect for the team, Ms. Katie Jenke-Dale with DLA Piper, and Mr. Jim Prendergast with Gensler to explain the proposal.
Hey, Jim, you need to unmute yourself.
There I am. Katie, do you want to say a few words first, or should I start?
Jump right in.
So thank you, commissioners, for taking the time to let us share this project with you. 1200 West Carroll is a unique building. We're sitting on West Carroll, is at the base of our plan. You see the massing of the project here. The building is based around the notions of how the tenants would like to use the space. The target tenant mix are creative office or tech users, which need typically high window based spaces and deep interior planning zones. The massing represents those exact criteria in the design of the building. The first floor incorporates retail space on the southeast corner of the plan, with Carroll being the base of the plan, a mid-block entry with our backup house and mechanical spaces along the railroad side on the north edge of the building, and with our parking ramp, mid-block on Racine, and our adjacent loading bays. We're featuring a large plaza to the west as a kind of urban gesture and an open air common space for the neighborhood. We're producing around 90 parking spaces on a single flat deck directly above the plaza. We then have two typical floor plates. This is the third floor, just a small variation on that scheme. But if you go to the next drawing, you'll see what we call the A plates, which are our larger floor plates, which feature staggering masses on the north and on the south side of the plan. The stagger is encompassed through a cantilever on the end bays, and these end bays shift as the building rises. Inset between these A floors, as we call them, are the Bs, which are more straightforward rectangular floor plate, but they feature outdoor terraces. So every third floor of the composition will have at least two significant exterior terraces. The 12th floor is our amenity floor, which currently features our fitness center on the north side of the plan and a cafe club lounge shared by all users on the floor, with a east-facing terrace for the club and a workout terrace also facing east, and what we call the quiet terrace to the west. The top floor of the building, the 13th floor, is a full occupied tenant floor. And the 14th floor is half of that floor is mechanical, and the southern half is actually a double height tenant space. We feature 50% of our roof is on green roof, and we've embedded the mechanical space into the curtain wall of the building to minimize the mechanical penthouse profile on the landscape. So some quick views of the building. Here we are standing looking west at the corner of Racine, and then Carroll is in the foreground here. You see that our parking block is in white masonry, and then we have our floor-to-ceiling glass street wall retail facades. You see then the gesture of the urban corner and the southwest corner of the space, where we cut back the block of the parking mass to allow for about a 45-foot high exterior urban room, landscapes for informal collaboration and a gathering. You see here, this is the north elevation, so the railroad tracks to our north in the foreground. You can see the visual movement of the building as it ascends with the alternating cantilever base. Elevation and detail of the same view. You see our masonry cladding on the first two levels and the vision glass going up the building. The dark space in the center is the core of the building. And you can see the 12th floor amenity deck facing to the east. Go ahead. Here is our Racine facade. So here is then I see the mid-block entrance for our parking ramps and our loading bays. And then we bring out to the street wall edge with our retail glass. You can see the terraces on the top of the parking mass, and then the staggering of the massing as it rises. Again, the elevation of the same good point of view. This is the Carroll facade. You see here then our plaza in the lower left-hand corner, and then the parking block above that hovers above it. And then we have our staggering masses as we ascend. Similar view of the elevation. Here we have our west facade. One feature of the building that we're excited about is we've actually pulled one of the fire stairs to the perimeter skin of the building. So this becomes a design feature overall. So it'll be lit, of course, at night and become kind of a dynamic feature connecting the functions of the building and its structural expressions to the community, but also provides a unique intercommunicating aspect for the tenants as they move between floors throughout the building. And there's an elevation of that same view. Details of the expression of the building. At the street level, we have floor-to-ceiling glass at our entryways into lobby and to the retail facades. Then we have our white masonry-clad parking mass. The A floors then had the vision glass with black trim articulating the two-story expression of those paired floors, and then satin aluminum spandrel between them to unify them into a single expression. The recessed B floors are floor-to-ceiling glass on a 5-foot module. The A's are on 10-foot module, expressing the horizontality on the B levels, more vertical expression on the A levels. The site plan, as I mentioned before, we have our urban plaza to the southwest with our planting scheme compliant with landscape ordinance. More specifically, we show the location for small retail seating for possible F&B opportunities from the retail side, but also undercover at a two-story level here, sorry, one-story level here. We have instead seating bedded with our planters on the urban street wall edge. And then our more generous open space here where we've actually tucked in our exterior bike storage. We do have bike storage in the building as well. But then a soft motion towards some landscaping, opening up for providing ample seating space for multiple functions for the community and the building. The site plan promotes the efficient use of the pedestrian use. We maintain a clear pedestrian and friendly experience along the southern and Carroll Street and Receipt edge of the site. Our traffic study reports identified that the site adequately accommodates traffic for the area. Access to Racine will be adequately accommodated through traffic stops. Recommended converting the west leg of Racine Avenue at its two-way stop sign controlled intersection at Kinsey, which is north of the tracks of our site, into a southbound lane only. High visibility crosswalks will be provided on the west and south legs intersection at Carroll and Racine. The urban corner is in compliance with the West Loop design guidelines, along with the vision glass. This entry plaza is compliant with all applicable standards. The same edge here as we're looking again west on Carroll to our urban plaza, and then the seated seating spaces provided urban space that's still undercover. Oops. And did I just disappear? If you can still hear me. And then this is our southwest corner showing the absolute open area, soft edge of landscaping along the western level at the street level. And the notion of this being kind of a really a year-round open space for access in the corner of the space and allowing flow through the lobby and through access for tenants and our tenant edges. The site is being targeted for LEED Silver compliance, 80 points, of which 10 points will be in our minimum 50% green roof requirement and exceeding our stormwater ordinance by 25%. And there's a general list of those points we're targeting for compliance in our design. Job costs, that's my end. Katie?
Great, thanks, Jim, and thanks, Noah. I'll briefly touch on some of the public benefits of this project before turning it back over to DPD. The project budget is approximately $110 million and expected to create 359 construction jobs and just shy of 2,500 permanent jobs. The developer has already reached out to the Department of Procurement Services, assist agencies, and committed at the request of the alderman to have a general contractor who hasn't been selected yet, JV with a minority contractor. We also have Kiana Barrett, who's the Director of Diversity and Strategic Development at Sterling Bay, available if there's questions on that. Next slide, Noah. This project will generate approximately $4.3 million for the neighborhood opportunity bonus and a $734,000 conversion fee. It's expected to generate approximately $5 million in property taxes, and the developer is also committed to participating in the area-wide railroad signal upgrade improvement project. We've worked very closely with Alderman Burnett, the various community groups, as well as the Department of Planning and Development and their design team on this project. We really appreciate everyone's time and support of this. With that, I'll turn it over to Noah, but our entire design team, traffic consultant, as well as, like I mentioned, representatives from Sterling Bay are available if there's any questions. Thank you.
So the Department of Planning and Development has reviewed all the materials submitted by the applicant, and we've concluded that this proposed development is appropriate on the site for the following reasons. As indicated in the presentation, the proposed plan development is in compliance with the West Loop design guidelines and the Fulton Market Innovation District Plan. The proposed plan development will promote an economically beneficial development in a pattern that is compatible with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The project promotes transit, pedestrian, and bicycle use. It ensures accessibility to the site for persons with disabilities, and it minimizes conflicts with the existing traffic patterns in the vicinity And as mentioned, the site is situated within 1 mile of the Morgan Street station along the CTA Green Line. The proposal also follows building orientation and massing suggestions, all is contained in the zoning ordinance, including bringing the proposed building edges up to the street frontage, providing large transparent storefront windows, which will help to allow for the creation of an active building wall immediately adjacent to the public right-of-way. All sides and areas of this building that are visible to the public will be treated with materials, finishes, and architectural details that are of a high quality and are appropriate for use on public facing right-of-way facades. Lastly, copies of the application were submitted and circulated to all city departments and agencies, and there have been no comments received which have gone unaddressed by this development team here today. So please refer to my staff report for further details regarding this project and the plans identified here today. But based on the foregoing, it is a recommendation of the zoning administrator of the Department of Planning and Development that this application to establish a business plan development be approved and then forwarded as such to the City Council Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions? Alderman Burnett. Oh, I'm sorry, is there a question coming? I see no hands. Alderman Burnett, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I have to recuse myself on voting for this as a commissioner. But as an alderman, as Noah indicated, they did meet with the 3 community organizations that we have in this area, the West Loop Gate, West Central Association, and Neighbors of the West Loop. We also had a community meeting in the community, which several people attended. Matter of fact, we did not have any objections to this development. This is a very pleasing development. If I'm not mistaken, I know there was some questions about the outdoor space and the community was satisfied with that. This developer, as indicated by the counselor, they're going to be joint venturing with a minority contractor, and they're going to be hiring people from the neighborhood. This is going to bring a lot of dollars to the Invest Southwest through the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. So this is a good thing for the city of Chicago, thousands of jobs. I support this 100% as this body to support it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Returning now to commissioners for any questions, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to say congratulations to Alderman Burnett, another exciting project coming to the West Loop. And then towards the developer, I would just be curious as to how that outreach is going to occur regarding the potential JV minority partner. And I applaud the efforts, and I know that Alderman Burnett has been a strong supporter of making sure that as development occurs in his ward and really throughout the city, that there's a reflection of the population on these projects. Given that
how you doing?
There's a ton of infrastructure occurring in the city of Chicago. So I would just be interested to find out what are the plans from the developer and contractor as to how they seek to look out or try to find minority JV partners.
I would ask Kiana Barrett to respond to that.
Thank you for the question. We at Sterling Bay have a diversity and inclusion council, which is comprised of many of the assist agencies throughout the city, as well as advocacy organizations. So we will be engaging those thought partners to make sure that we're reaching out to their membership to be aware of this opportunity. In addition, we will be hosting an outreach event, which will provide direct contact with the sub and minority community to learn more about this project, as well as the JV opportunities that were outlined. We've already sent a certified letter out to the assist agencies and have already garnered feedback from interested female and minority owned farms. And so we're looking to advance those conversations.
Thank you. And then also, will those
Commissioner, if I may speak, and they will be working with me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alderman. Go ahead, Commissioner Villegas.
Yeah, will the JV minority firms have to carry a bond?
Who's going to answer that question?
I'm not sure. Can you clarify the question, Alderman Vegas? I'm not.
So I would assume that there's some type of performance bond as this project's being financed. Just curious, I know that some of the barriers related to smaller firms, minority firms, have been the ability to bond projects. If there's a bond on this project, will the minority firm be required to carry a bond on it as well?
Okay. Kiana, do you know the answer to that?
So we are having conversations, and so working with the alderman in greater detail regarding that, so we can certainly follow back up with you, Alderman, to provide you with an update on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Go ahead
Thank
and get back directly to Commissioner Villegas, but can you also let Noah know so they can repeat that to the rest of the commissioners?
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's a really good question. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands go up, so with no additional questions, do I have a motion on the proposed plan development for the property generally located at 1200 West Carroll Avenue to rezone the property from M2-3 Light Industry Matrix to DX-5 Downtown Mixed Use District, and then to a business plan development to allow for the construction of a 230-foot tall mixed-use building with commercial and retail uses on the ground floor and office use on the, with office use on the floors above. The overall plan development will contain 90 accessory vehicular parking stalls and 2 loading berths. The applicant will be using the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund bonus to increase the allowable FAR from the base 5.0 to a maximum of 8.1, finding that it meets the requirements for approval, excuse me. Do I have a motion?
Motion by Alderman Tunney.
Second by Commissioner Shaw.
Seconded by Commissioner Shaw. Do we have any discussion by the commissioners on this motion? Commissioner Cox.
I'm sorry. This is all a question of just not being able to get the unmute button to work in the appropriate.
Well, if you put your hand up, I can call on you, and that'll buy you a little time to get it.
So I just wanted to comment before we vote on this. I think it really needs to be acknowledged how this development team and their architects worked with the planning and development staff to address issues of how this building meets the ground, the way that they animate the ground floor, the creation of the covered plaza. It's not all teams are open to a kind of creative interpretation of the guidelines that we could achieve. I think this level of innovation using the guidelines, I think is a testament, quite frankly, to the architects. So my compliments to Pendergast and Gensler. I'm just thrilled to see them just break wide open the glass box that's so ubiquitous throughout the district. So it's an extremely creative response. I think it's going to be a signature building in the district. And I just didn't want that to go unsaid. Compliments to the entire team, both the developer for allowing the architects to do their best work and the architects who rising to the occasion and showing that guidelines can actually lead to innovation and not simply restrict people from doing things. This is going to be a signature building in the district, and congratulations to them.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion and a second on the floor. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Commissioner Peterson, I think what I could do is I could look over at you and I can see your thumbs up for a vote. So let me go to the roll call. And when I get to your name, I'll look up. Okay, Commissioner Biaggi.
Yes.
Commissioner Brumfeld, is that that's a recusal, right? Okay. A recusal for Commissioner Brumfeld, recusal for Commissioner Burnett, and see, Cordova's a yes. Cox?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Garza?
Yes.
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Commissioner Novata?
Yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Peterson? Gotcha. All right, Commissioner Reyes?
Yes.
That was a yes, by the way, on Commissioner Peterson. Commissioner Searle?
Yes, and I'd like to ditto Commissioner Cox's comments. I think it's going to be a very nice building.
Thank you, Commissioner Searle. Commissioner Shaw?
Yes.
Commissioner Sposato? Commissioner Tunney? Commissioner, I think he was the one who gave the first on this. So made the motion. So
Commissioner Tunney proxy voted yes.
okay.
This is Patrick Murphy.
Thank you, Patrick. Commissioner Villegas?
Yes.
Did I miss Searle? No, I got Searle. Commissioner Villegas and Commissioner Wagasbach.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is proposed plan development submitted by NP Avenue 0 LLC for the property generally located at 3044 East 122nd Street. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property from PMD number 6, which is Planned Manufacturing District number 6, to a waterway industrial plan development. The applicant proposes the construction of an industrial building containing approximately 580,587 square feet of floor area, 384 vehicular parking spaces, 136 trailer parking spaces, and 56 loading spaces within 100 feet of the Calumet River in the Calumet Industrial Corridor. This is in the 10th Ward. Erica Selke will provide the context overview, and the applicant within 20 minutes will present their proposal. You're on, Erica. Can tech unmute her? Let's see, I guess I can maybe unmute you. Can we get the tech to unmute Erica? There you are.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Thank you, Chairwoman. My name is Erica Selke. I am a planner with the Department of Planning and Development. As mentioned, this is a mandatory plan development because the site is located with 100 feet of a waterway. That's the Calumet River in this case. The applicant is NP Avenue O LLC. The project is located in South Deering. As you can see on the map, the star indicates the project location on the far south side of Chicago. South Deering is predominantly Black and also Latino. This data comes from the Calumet River Communities Planning Framework released by UIC Great Cities Institute in February 2019. The area is also predominantly adult with people over ages of 18. Oops. Apologies. Okay. Staying within South Deering, residents age 25 or older. Most had at least a high school diploma or higher. And also the median income in South Deering is approximately $34,000. In terms of the planning context, there are a few plans that provide guidance to this proposed development. The first is the Calumet Area Land Use Plan adopted by the Commission in 2002, which talks about the industrial uses within the area. The second is that the Planned Manufacturing District, or PMD6, was instituted in 2005 within the Calumet Industrial Corridor, which you can see in purple on the map located on the left. And then the Calumet design guidelines also dictate the landscape requirements for the project and take into account the unique landscaping found within the Calumet area. And then finally, the data was taken from the Great Cities Institute at the University of Illinois at Chicago plan, the Calumet River Communities Framework, which was issued in February 2019. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Liz Butler, who is the attorney for the applicant of this project. Liz.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Liz Butler from the law firm of DLA Piper, located at 444 West Lake Street in Chicago. And I, along with my colleague Rich Clowder, represent the applicant in this matter, NP Avenue O, LLC, who is an affiliate of North Point Development. I'm joined today by representatives of the applicant, including Tom George, Christina Hubasek, both from North Point Development, Bill Bone of Jacob and Hefner Associates, and Kristen Bruns, also of Jacob and Hefner, who are the civil engineer for the project. Rob Waters of Studio North Architecture, the project architect. Monica Goshorn Maroney of Gary R. Weber Associates, the landscape architect for the project. And finally, Karen Howell, Trevor Ryer, and Caitlin O'Brien of Clayco, who are the general contractor for the project. I'll provide a brief overview of the land use context and the developer's involvement with the project, and then I'll hand it over to the design team to go through the proposed physical improvements. So in 2018, North Point acquired the approximately 200-acre site that's shown on the screen now. It's located generally at 118th and Avenue O. This site is the former location of the Republic Steel Mill. North Point is developing the entire 200-acre site with a high-quality business industrial park, which will, when complete, include up to 5 state-of-the-art industrial buildings ranging in size from 299 square feet up to 1 million square feet to be constructed in multiple phases. When complete, the center is anticipated to contain a total of approximately 2.2 million square feet of industrial space and will create as many as 660 permanent jobs. This will be the largest industrial development in Chicago since the creation of the neighboring Ford Supplier Park, which now is also owned by North Point and which was established over 15 years ago. The project requires North Point to install water, sewer, roadway construction to perform remediation and earthwork, along with other public utility installations. Erica, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So the property that is the subject of the proposal that's before you today for a waterway plan development is this 48.6 acre site, just a portion of the overall 200-acre site. This portion of the property is separated from the remainder of the overall Avenue O development by the South Chicago and Southern Railroad right-of-way, which is on the east side of the property, and then the property abuts the Calumet River on the west. The property is currently vacant and unimproved. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the subject property is currently zoned and is surrounded by properties that are zoned Planned Manufacturing District 6. The proposed use and industrial development complies with all of the underlying zoning requirements of the PMD. However, a planned development is requested and required due to the property's proximity to the Calumet River. Next slide, please. This slide shows the surrounding land uses, which are predominantly heavy industrial users, such as chemical manufacturing and storage, along with metal processing and recycling. Next slide, please. This is a photo of the site. The existing condition from the west facing slightly southeast. On the left, you see the existing reserve marine metal recycling facility that is immediately to the north of the subject property. Next slide, please. And this is a view of the subject property from the southeast, looking to the northwest, with a view of the turning basin in the Calumet River. I'll note that a portion of the river is actually part of the property that's owned by North Point, by the applicant. And I'll also point out that similar to many former legacy industrial sites, portions of this property served as a dumping ground for slag. The majority of the site is overlaid with a layer of fill consisting of slag and other mixed materials. You can see the other heavy industrial uses, thank you, to across the river and to the north of the site. And next slide. Thank you, Erica. So here is another view of the existing condition. On the top of the slide, you see the chemical production and storage in the foreground. And then in the background of that photo, you see phase 1 of the North Point project, which is the completed, what we refer to as building D. This building is also shown here on the bottom right of the slide. The proposed building will look substantially similar to building D. So this gives you an idea of what the finished product is going to look like. I'll also note that this building will be leased and occupied, or already is occupied, by Ford as of the beginning of June. Next slide, please. Shown here is the site plan for the subject property, the 48.6 acre site, for which we are seeking plan development approval. Again, this is 48.6 acres, a portion of which is submerged within the Calumet River. North Point is proposing to construct a 580,587 square foot spec industrial building, which is designed to accommodate either a single tenant or up to 4 tenants. With that, I will hand the presentation over to Bill Bone of Jacob and Hefner to walk through the site plan. Bill?
We might be able to get tech.
Bill, you need to unmute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Liz. Next slide, please. I'll walk you through the site plan very briefly. As Liz said, the building is approximately 580,000 square feet, orientated in the north-south direction. The site gains access off of 122nd Street, which runs east-west on the south side of the site. We have access points at 2 locations where cars and trucks will enter and exit the site. Car parking is located on the south end of the building and also on the north end of the building. Loading via the docks to the building will be on the east and west sides. And then there was trailer storage or trailer parking on both east and west sides. You'll also notice a dedicated drive along the east side that could get a possible northern tenant back to their building without having to cross through the trailer parking and dock areas of the southern tenant. At the northwest corner of the site, we are proposing a naturalized stormwater detention and volume control basin. And then you'll see running east-west along the south end of the site is the existing conveyance swale that was constructed as part of phase 1. That swale drains land from upstream to the east and will also be naturalized and planted with deep-rooted natural vegetation. Next slide, please. With that, I'll hand it over to Rob Waters with Studio North.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I was having some audio difficulties earlier. Thank you. This is Rob Waters, Studio North. I am the architect of record. This slide is the overall floor plan. We're showing, as previously noted, a little over 580,000 square feet. The building is 580 feet deep by just a little over 1,000 feet long. It is a cross dock speculative Class A industrial facility. Speculative meaning there is no tenant identified yet. So we try to design in flexibility that could accommodate from 1 to 4 to several tenants. The shaded areas in the floor plan represent prominent office areas with additional articulation in the middle that can be used if we were to attract more than 4 tenants. Next slide, please. This image is a detailed view of the corner entries showing enhanced landscaping at the front entry. You see the articulation in the building where we're not just a large flat facility, but we have lots of articulation. We have an outdoor green space and break area that we use. We put this at all four corners to help promote work-life quality while offering enjoyable outdoor areas, enhanced landscaping to buffer between parking lots and the truck docks, but also offering view corridors, especially out along the west side to the Calumet River. Next slide, please. These are the overall dock elevations. You'll see that the west and east are very similar. The building is a set piece design, meaning that it's very symmetrical. So the long ends of the building are equivalent and equal, and the short ends also look very similar. We use several colors on the building, warm natural earth tones to help promote the unified color scheme that Liz showed you building D earlier. So these colors would be the same color pattern that we saw on the previous slide. We feel this looks very impressive and inviting, and especially will be pleasing from the river. Next slide, please. And this is just a zoomed in area of the same slide that we just saw, but more detailed. As we zoom in, the building's proposed to be 51 feet tall at the highest points on the exterior parapet, but you can see the articulation in the vertical, the up and down, to help break up the scale, particularly 1,000 feet of industrial facility, but varying heights. You'll see clear story windows that allow increased light into the interior. And then you'll see these towers that are flanked by sets of dock positions at 4 and 3. The towers are to, again, add additional enhanced features and then locate pedestrian entrances and egress to the facility. Next slide, please. And this is, the exact same. So we can forward east side, same as the west. This slide is the short end of the building. So the north and south side, you see the same vocabulary that's used along the dock sides, but with an increased emphasis along the building corners at the offices. You see more storefront glazing, large entries, 2-story glass, and again, just the use of variations in parapet heights to help articulate and break up the scale, bring a human scale to the facility. And next slide is the south. It's the opposite. So again, very similar as the previous slide. That's next slide. I believe that's it on the architectural, and we'll turn this back over to site.
Thanks, Rob. This is Bill Bone with Jacob and Hefner again. We're proposing 384 vehicular parking spaces clustered at the south side and north side of the building. We've got 136 trailer parking spaces on. We have 136 trailer parking spaces on both the east and west sides of the building, and bicycle parking at all 4 corners of the building at the entrances, totaling 26 bicycle spaces. And then there is included 56 loading spaces on both the east and west sides of the building. Next slide, please. Pedestrian access is going to be via a proposed shared use, 10-foot wide shared use path on the south side of 122nd Street. Bicycle access, as previously stated, will be provided at all 4 corners of the building where the offices will be located for a total of 26 bicycle parking spaces. Loading, we've designed the site to minimize congestion on the existing roadway system. There are 2 access points in and out of the site off of 122nd Street. We're providing in excess of 225 feet of on-site queuing distance at each of the east and west entrance to minimize any backup of cars or trucks onto 122nd Street. As far as anti-idling goes, the applicant will encourage their future tenants to abide by an anti-idling policy. Next slide, please. Back in 2008, CDOT commissioned a phase 1 design study for the Burley Avenue extension from its current terminus up to 106th Street, and then the reestablishment of 122nd Street from Carondelet to Avenue O. We've designed the entire roadway system in compliance with that phase 1 study. The phase 1 streets are currently under construction and are due to be completed by the end of this construction season. Next slide, please. Here's a graphic that shows the roadway system throughout the Avenue O development. In red are the 2 roadways that are currently under construction that will be completed this year. And they include the Burley Avenue extension from its current terminus up to the new 122nd Street, and then 122nd Street from Burley Avenue East to Avenue O. In blue, we have what we're calling the phase 2 roadway improvements that will be started this year and completed by the end of next year. And that is 122nd Street from Carondelet East to Burley, and then the Burley Avenue extension from 122nd Street up to 117th Street, and then 118th Street from Burley East to Avenue O. Next slide, please. This slide shows the proposed pedestrian and bicycle paths throughout the development in red. As you can see, they connect with all of the lots throughout the development. In blue shows the adjacent existing shared use paths that are already in the ground today. Next slide, please. This is a typical cross section of 122nd Street, which bounds the site to the south. As you can see on the south side of the site, we have a 10-foot wide concrete bike and pedestrian path, and then 3 11-foot lanes, 1 eastbound, 1 westbound, and then 1 center turning lane to get in and out of the site. Next slide, please. As far as drainage goes, the building east site will drain to the northwest corner of the site, in which we have a proposed stormwater basin, which provides not only the required amount of volume control pursuant to the City of Chicago Stormwater Ordinance, but we are providing in excess by 25% to meet our sustainability guidelines. From there, the stormwater will drain south to an existing outfall into the Calumet River. Along the south side of Building E is the existing, what we call the conveyance well, that will also be naturalized, that drains water from upstream to the east through that site to the Calumet River. Next slide, please.
I just want to let you know also, you've got about 3 minutes left on your 20 minutes.
Thank you. I will hand it over to Monica to discuss landscaping. Thank you.
Proposing a total of 575 trees, with a variety of different species and types native to the Chicago area.
You were on mute. We missed the first part of your sentence.
I'm sorry. Our development is providing very generous landscaping throughout the site. We're proposing over 575 trees throughout the site that are native to this area.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you also state your name for the record, please?
Of course. My name is Monica Gassamaroni with Gary R. Weber Associates. We're out of Wheaton, Illinois. And we're the landscape architects on the job. Let's see here. The building is set back 190 feet from 122nd Street, which provides ample room for landscape screening and the stormwater water conveyance swale, as well as the low profile prairie that will be along the streets and throughout the site. We're bounded by non-industrial uses on all sides, with the river on the west side. So we've provided ample screening and buffering to screen these uses, which are very similar to our own. Through the DPD process, we made a few changes to our plans to increase the buffer along the Calumet River from 30 to 35 feet to provide additional room for additional evergreen screening in that area. We've provided an additional 30 evergreen trees to help increase a better view from the river itself. Can you please go to the next slide? This is a view from 122nd Street, from the only public street bounding our site. You can see we've provided very ample and lush landscaping along here to help create the best view possible. Please go to the next slide. This is the view from the river itself with the evergreen screening along the riverbank. This will also be naturalized along this corridor with native plantings and ornamental trees and shrubs. This is a view if you're standing on the bank itself with the naturalized prairie, which encompasses about 18 acres of the site, which is about 35% of the buildable area. With this landscaping will greatly benefit the habitat and ecology of this area and will greatly enhance the river corridor itself. With that, I will turn it back over to Christina.
Thank you. And you are at your 20-minute mark, allowing even with my interruptions of the previous speaker. Can you wrap this up within a few minutes, within a few seconds?
We just have 2 more slides that we want to cover very quickly. Christina,
Well,
if you could just
look like they're important because they're going to get at the stormwater and wastewater diversion.
Correct. So the proposed development will achieve at a minimum 100 points.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Sure. I'm sorry. My name is Christina Kupasek with North Point Development. The proposed development will achieve at a minimum 100 points from the Chicago Sustainable Matrix. This will be done by implementing some of the following strategies. The building will be designed to Energy Star. It will exceed the energy code by 5%. We will be designing the stormwater to exceed the stormwater ordinance by at least 25%. The landscaping will be designed for working landscapes. We'll be achieving EV readiness as well as 80% waste diversion. In addition to providing the charging station to meet the sustainable matrix, the project commits to provide 20% EV readiness for parking. And at DPD's request, a portion of the roof area has been designed with excess weight capacity to support future solar power infrastructure. Next slide, please. This is our last slide. North Point has established inclusive hiring goals for the project of 26% MBE, 6% WBE, 50% City of Chicago resident hiring, and 10% 10th Ward resident hiring. North Point has selected Clayco as the GC for the project. Clayco, as you know, has a track record of success in the City of Chicago, achieving inclusive hiring goals. We've had a number of MBE, WBE, and local Chicago workers invited to bid on the project. Outreach events were hosted earlier this spring, and additionally, ongoing meetings with the union BAs and local organizations have been important to support the team to achieve these hiring goals. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Liz to sum everything up.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I won't go through all of the changes that we made in response to comments received, but the project timeline is shown here on this screen. Project cost is $45 million. 130 to 150 construction jobs, which is on the low end of what we actually expect the project to create. And then 175 to 200 permanent jobs, though we anticipate a much higher number of permanent jobs to be created. Erica, I don't know if we can leave this screen up for a few minutes while you wrap up so people have a moment to digest this.
Yeah, you guys are going quite a bit over your 20-minute mark. Liz, can you state your name also for the record, please? Every time you speak,
my name is Liz.
You all need you to state your name and
Thank
position.
you. My name is Liz Butler from the law firm of DLA Piper. And the last thing that I want to say is many thanks to planning staff and also many thanks to Alderman Garza, who's been instrumental in moving this project forward. And we think that she is available on the line and would like the opportunity to make her own remarks. Thanks again, and we're available for any questions from the commission.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. And yes, the Alderman is on the line.
And I'm sorry, Chairwoman, I'll just interrupt you real quickly. I just wanted to wrap up.
I was going to go back to you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem, Erica. I'm going to, because I'm known to forget that, but I just wanted to note that the Alderwoman is in the room, so to speak, and we'll be calling on her after we get questions and comments from the commissioners. And with that, let me go ahead and turn to you, Erica, for your final comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this is Erica Selke, Department of Planning and Development. Just quickly, the proposed amendment, or excuse me, the plan development promotes economically beneficial development patterns, given that this area is predominantly industrial. And the proposed amendment complies with the PD standards of the zoning code. So with that, department staff recommends that the project be approved by the Plan Commission. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that very much. And I do want to let the developers know, I'm sorry, all the feedback I've been getting is that I needed to be a little bit more strict in keeping the developer presentations within that 20-minute mark. So thank you for your cooperation on that. And thank you, Ms. Selke, for your presentation. So with that, do I have any questions or comments from commissioners? I see Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, these types of projects, I'm so glad to see this type of project come to the Planning Commission. A lot of times in the Planning Commission, you see these beautiful architectural buildings and nice shiny objects. And I'm glad to see that there's some manufacturing coming back to the city, especially along the Calumet River, where we also have the Illinois Port Authority, and a lot of commerce travels up and down the Mississippi River. So just so glad to see this type of project coming to Chicago, and we continue to urge developers that are looking to recruit these types of businesses to Chicago to continue doing it, and let us know how we can help as a city, as a commission, as well as the city council to bring these types of developments. I also want to congratulate my colleague, Alderman Garza, for working so hard on this project. Looks like a great project, and just want to say congratulations.
Great, thank you so much, Commissioner. Commissioner Cox.
I also, I guess, would like just to speak to, you know, the overall plan. I'm just glad that the network, the road network, is being built out according to CDOT standards, so that the truck traffic is being funneled in to the appropriate streets. So being able to flush out this network that will then allow for the other parcels, the future parcels, to be built out. This is one of the benefits of this first in. The fact that it doesn't have an anchor tenant yet, but it anticipates that this is going to be a very vibrant industrial area, is something that should be noted. I would also say, and I know the planning and development staff have worked with the applicant to try to make this site more about the landscape and being consistent, because the landscape is a little bit degraded, and that's largely because perhaps you know, there hasn't always been the space and the willingness to really not just meet the bare minimum of landscape requirements by site plan, but to go far beyond that. And so I think the addition of 575 trees and these varying prairies and meadows are really going to be the defining aspect of the site. And I think some of the illustrations from the street attest to that. That it's not about the building. You know, the building is, you know, looks like an appropriate building in an industrial complex. But I think the takeaway is that the landscape is far more important in terms of trying to create a look for this area. So I hope that the other buildings, as they come online, will similarly have so many trees that the takeaway of someone coming and going from this district is that it's sustainable, that it has a landscape takeaway. So I just I applaud the team for being so responsive to having the necessary green. And, you know, I think I've come to accept that 35 feet from the little inlet heavily landscaped will be sufficient because this is a really, really tight fit on the site. But they have found every foot possible to put between their the parking area and the inlet. So I appreciate the effort to make sure that the entire site is surrounded by landscape. So very supportive of this effort. And again, I've toured this site with the Alderman Garza, and she has been really a great champion for these uses and in her ward, and holding developers to the highest standards. And I think this one will meet her standards, I hope, as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. So I have a couple of questions, seeing that I don't have other hands up yet. You know, this site has a history, as we well know, of contamination, not only the immediate site, but the surrounding areas. So I'm wondering if you could speak a bit more about any mitigation efforts that you're going to employ as you move forward with this, if assuming it gets approved with your proposal. Can you speak about environmental contamination mitigation efforts?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman. I am going to ask Tom George of North Point, either Tom or Christina, to address that question.
I'll go
Sure,
ahead
I'd
and
be
take
happy
that.
to.
Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, hi, this is Tom George with North Point. And the site has experienced some contamination, of course, and it has been submitted to the state remediation program. And we will be placing a cap on the site as part of our satisfaction of that state remediation program requirement. So the site has an NFR issued, no further remediation, and it will be perfected once we put that cap in place. So there will be no issues on the site once the building is built for the tenants or for the neighboring community.
Great, and then I assume you're doing that in coordination with the State Department, the Corporate State Department on that.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of a related follow-up question on that. So any new tenants that come in, since we don't know yet, and you don't know yet who those new tenants are, they will not be adding any additional contamination?
That's correct. That's correct. There will certainly not be any new contamination on this site.
Okay. And it sounds like you've at least started to make some efforts. I don't know if you want to expound on it a bit more about impacts of truck traffic into that area.
Sure. You know, we're very sensitive to that. So we start at the site and work our way out. We make sure that the site has ample access, wide driveways, plenty of queuing off the roadway, so that the trucks, no trucks queue on the public roadways. The public roadways, then we build them large enough with large radiuses so that we can accommodate an easy flow through the site. And then going beyond that, we are part of the new overall plan to extend Burley all the way from 126 to 106. So we are dedicating the right-of-way to the city for free, and then we are constructing a significant portion of that road that will eventually take truck traffic off of Avenue O completely. So this park is providing a big first step, and I think, as has been said by the commissioner and a few other folks already, this is a great first step in developing this new roadway network that used to exist 100 years ago, I suppose, to get the truck traffic specifically off of Avenue O.
Great, thank you. And also a question around the solar. It sounds like you're going to build in the capacity for solar to be added. How do you see that playing out? Would it be up to you all to add that? Is it going to be the tenants? How do we know that in fact is going to be utilized?
So it could be either. It could be us or the tenant. We as a company are underway nationwide studying the use of solar to see if we can make sense out of it. The state of Illinois has up until recently not been the best location for it, but as of 2019 is more exciting to us. So we're looking at this. We own approximately 75 million square feet of industrial buildings across the country. And we have a group within the company that is studying this nationwide. So we don't know for sure, but we want to have the building ready for it. We may decide to go ahead with it ourselves. We certainly want to encourage our tenants to look at the possibility also. It'll have some to do with the tenant, of course, and the type of power demands they have. The higher their power demands, the more likely we can make some economic sense out of it. But we want the building to be ready to go for either North Point or the tenant to implement solar.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. George. With the landscaping, I know you're going to have some sustainable stormwater management. Will you be making use of things like bioswales? And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add about your stormwater management.
Sure. Yeah, we're all about naturalized stormwater management, and we have been. The team that you have in front of you probably did one of the first ones going back to 2005, so 15 years ago. We're very proud of that. Some people get tired of hearing us talk about it, but we love our deep-rooted plants. I'm a civil engineer, and as is Christina and Bill, and we've gone in my career from wanting to get water off a site as fast as possible and never wanting even a drop to soak into the ground, to now wanting water to work as hard as possible to leave our site and as much as possible to soak back into the ground. So everything we're doing is designed for that. Our landscape is designed for that. Our channels are designed for that. So we're excited about that, and that practice will be implemented on all the detention facilities, in the swales on the site. So everything will be naturalized on the site with the intent of these deep-rooted plants conducting the water back into the ground.
Well, and that's really great that you're not only going to do that here, but may likely be doing that in your other sites. I'm a big fan of bioswales for their additional function also of helping to clean some of that water as it re-enters into the ground table.
Right.
Thank you very much. I have another question, but I'm going to go to Commissioner Biaggi for her question.
Hi, thank you. Just on behalf of CDOT, we appreciate how hard the applicant has worked and also the team at DPD to make those roadway improvements. I also want to point out that the applicant is also working with Norfolk Southern to improve some of the railroad crossings. That's a gigantic undertaking across the city that we've been working on, and to have a partner doing it in this localized way will make the site even more of a possibility for development in the future. So we can appreciate all of the connecting the dots and working with us and the DPD team along the way. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Biaggi. My question now, my last question is around jobs. I know that we're in working with the other woman on this project. You've committed to making sure that some of the people who live in that region have access to employment at this facility or these facilities at this site. And we know that from some of the data that out of the report that was mentioned earlier in Ms. Elke's presentation, that there's a high percentage of people who work at these locations in the locations, this area, that don't necessarily live there. And so people from that area aren't necessarily the beneficiaries of the employment. And I think the Alderwoman is doing quite a bit to try to push that agenda forward. But I'm wondering, again, back to the point, if you don't know yet who the tenants are going to be, how are you going to make sure that, in fact, that goal of the 10% local hires is met? And might there even be an opportunity to raise that number beyond 10%?
Christine, I'm going to let you answer that, and I see that you're muted.
See if I can unmute her.
Sure. So the 10% is actually for the construction jobs. So our 10% goal is construction workers, and then we will be once we do. I'm sorry.
I'll interrupt you again. Can you again state your name for the record?
Sure. I'm sorry. Christina Hubisak with North Point Development.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
That's okay. So I was just saying that our goals of 26 and 6, as well as 50% City of Chicago and the 10% is for construction jobs. We do have within our redevelopment agreement, we do have a percentage of jobs that we're supposed to hit per square footage of buildings, and that will be that isn't specific to the local ward, but we will certainly be encouraging our tenants to hire locally as much as possible.
And I'll add a little bit to that and this is Tom George with North Point. As far as the, so we're going to be very focused for the construction period to make sure that we're getting local folks jobs and working with the alderman, the alderwoman, and our and a committee that we have through her. But the reason we're in this location is because it is very rich in skilled labor. And so we are extremely excited about that possibility of attracting higher users. The first facility has already been leased to Ford. Ford is expanding their operations in that area, and our facility will be used for subassembly and pre-assembly. So we're very excited about that. We are one of the largest landlords of General Motors and Ford both. So we're excited to see that type of operation. And so we're excited. We're here because of the labor. That's why we're in this area. That's why we bought the Ford Supplier campus, and that's why we're continuing to build. We think this area is very rich in skilled labor and underserved in jobs. So that's a great combination for us.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much. Alderwoman Sadowski Garza, you are here. Can we unmute hers? And would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Cordova. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Thank you. Thank you for
I just want to say thank you to all the commissioners that are on this call, and thank you to North Point especially for taking a chance on the 10th Ward. It's been, what, 3 years already since we first met, Tom? I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. I don't know. They have done a fantastic job working with our office. We formed a committee that we meet with they run the plans by them. They work hard to make sure that they listen to concerns about what people have to say. I talked really, one of the biggest things for me was to redo that Burley Avenue, because we have such a major problem with truck traffic that's on Avenue O, which you know is a residential property. After you hit 114th, then it isn't, but we have tons of trucks that are coming through. So I appreciate that they're redoing Burley. Commissioner Biaggi, we got to work hard to redo it all the way to 106th Street so we can keep those trucks out of the residential altogether. But I just want to say thank you. I'm in full support of this project. It was a total brownfield, and the way that they're transforming this is it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes, right? I'm really proud of what they're doing there, and thank you again for taking a chance on us. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And Tom and Christina, I can't even, they've given back to the food pantry. They bought food and medicine during this pandemic for people that didn't have it. So they're not just in the community, they're part of it. And for me, that's what's important. So thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Appreciate that. Okay, do I have a motion on the proposed plan development for the property generally located at 3044 East 102nd Street to rezone the property from PMD number 6, Plan Manufacturing District number 6, to a waterway industrial plan development to allow for the construction of an industrial building containing approximately 580,587 square feet of floor area, 384 vehicular parking spaces, 136 trailer parking spaces, and 56 loading spaces within 100 feet of the Calumet River and in the Calumet Industrial Corridor, finding that it meets the requirements for approval.
So moved by Villegas.
Moved by Commissioner Villegas, seconded by
Commissioner Shaw.
Commissioner Shaw. Let me do a roll call vote. Commissioner Biaggi?
Yes.
Commissioner Brumfeld?
Yes.
Commissioner Burnett?
Yes.
Commissioner Cordova is a yes. Commissioner Cox?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Garza? He was on a second ago. Commissioner,
Chairwoman, he proxied in a yes vote. I emailed that to you.
okay, thanks. I thank you very much. Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Commissioner Novata?
Yes.
And then let me look for Commissioner Peterson. Where did he go? Where did he go? Hey, I'm not seeing Commissioner Peterson. There he is. Okay, got a thumbs up. Yay, thank you, Commissioner. All right. Commissioner Reyes?
Yes.
Commissioner Searle?
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes.
Commissioner Spizzato?
Congratulatory, yes.
Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Tunney? Oh, he proxied out last time, right? So he's probably
he
gone.
left.
Commissioner Villegas
Yes.
and Commissioner Wagasbuck.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, everyone. This does motion. Thank you, Alderwoman, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. We do have more business, but this does conclude the public hearing portion of our agenda. And we have an additional presentation. Nancy Radovich is here to make a presentation, including an update on compliance with the executive order in regards to WNBA hiring practices related proposals presented to the Plan Commission. And her slides are up and ready to go. Go ahead.
Hi, I was going to say good morning, but good afternoon, Chairman Cordova and members of the Plan Commission. My name is Nancy Razovich. I am an Assistant Commissioner with the Zoning Bureau in the Department of Planning and Development. And I'm here to provide the update on the Executive Order 2017, or 2017-2, which was the Minority and Business Enterprise and Certified Contractors and Local Resident Equitable Participation Executive Order. I'm just going to jump in with a little bit of background. The executive order was actually signed on August 15th, 2017, and starting with projects that were brought to the Plan Commission that September, the Planning Department started tracking their participation and goals through the submission of affidavits by the development team. The participation goals that were established in the executive order are 20%, 26% minority business enterprises, 6% women-owned business enterprises, and 50% city resident workforce participation. And that city workforce participation is based on the total construction hours that they utilize throughout the project. When this was first introduced and as it moved forward, DPD as well as the Department of Procurement Services put together some supporting documents such as spreadsheets to kind of track the data, affidavit sheets that they need to fill out at the time of Plan Commission, at permit review, at the project completion. And then the Department of Procurement Services also provides some additional resources that are available to the development team, as well as some of the businesses that might want to try to get certified. This screenshot just kind of shows the website for procurement services. This particular page is all dedicated to all the minority and kind of disadvantaged business types. You can register yourself if you want to become a certified MBE, WBE. And then this is also the place where developer or applicants can search and find MBEs and WBEs that are certified in the city. And you can actually do searches based on MBEs, WBEs, and kind of break it down by the types of businesses that you're looking for. The other thing that the Procurement Services Department put together is an assist agency list. And this is just the first page. There's over 30 organizations that are listed on here. Most of these organizations are also MBEs or have MBE members, and they are out there to help assist the development team and the GCs to try to find MBEs, WBEs, as well as participants for the local hire program. I'm gonna just kind of jump into some of the data. So as I mentioned, starting in September of 2017 is when DPD started tracking the data for the Plan Commission reviews and approvals. And at the time these applications come through, again, the applicants provide an affidavit to what their proposed commitment is to meet these goals. In 2017, which was partial year, 15 projects were approved. That was a total of $715 million, in excess of that, for total estimated construction project costs. They estimated that there would be over 3,000 construction jobs, and all of the applicants proposed to meet the goals established in the executive order. 2018, 75 jobs, 17 billion, in excess of 17 billion in the total project costs or construction values, over 52,000 construction jobs. And again, a 100% commitment to try to meet these goals. Through 2019, so this is about 2.5 years worth of data, we had 121 projects went through Plan Commission. And again, this is just for the PDs. This just applies to the plan development projects. In excess of $25 billion in estimated project costs, over 72,000 construction jobs. And again, each of the applicant development teams coming forward proposed to comply with all the base level goals established in the executive order. The last set of data that we have for the Plan Commission approvals is through May, which we had 2 meetings in May. Through May, from the beginning through May, we have 143 total projects have been approved. Again, we're close to $30 billion in estimated project costs, over 88,000 construction jobs associated with those projects. And again, all the applicants and development teams had proposed 100% compliance at the time they came through the Plan Commission. The next part of this and the next phase for when they come through for compliance is when they come in for what we call the Part 2 permit review. And this Part 2 review is when they come through for the zoning portion of the review to get their building permits, foundations, partials, those types of things. Actually the data is actually through, again, late May, we had 71 Part 2 zoning reviews that were completed by our staff in the Zoning Bureau. Those projects were about over $5.5 billion in total estimated construction costs. There were over 17,000 estimated total construction jobs. And interestingly, initially when the applicants were coming through, pretty much all of them were saying, yeah, we're going to continue to try to meet these goals. And they, on their affidavits that they file, they put the 26, 6, and 50 as they filed their building permits. Recently, a couple of applications have come through and they've had perhaps more realistic expectations based on, perhaps they've already bid out for portions of the project as they were coming through. And so the average of these 72 projects that have gone through, the average participation for these is now 24.8%. Again, this is at Part 2 permitting, 5.8% WBE participation, and 48.9% city resident hiring. In addition, even though it's not spelled out in the executive order, a lot of the developers try to work with the local aldermen and try to encourage hiring from the ward. So each of these projects and a lot of these developers also track their goals for trying to hire local to the ward. So the last summary that we have for the Part 2 reviews also includes an average of 3.2 hiring from the ward as part of that 48.9%. We now have, this is the first time we've actually had some certificate of occupancy data to share. What we've gotten is, to date, there's been 11 final C of Os issued. And at this point, there's 10 partial C of Os that have been issued. Typically, a partial C of O will be issued if they are trying to occupy a couple floors while they finish, the development. To date, and this is as of yesterday at about 5 o'clock. I've received 5 final reports. And so the data that I have here is pretty much as current as it can be. What we've found is in the reports that we've received to date on these 6 projects, it's been a total of 303 over 300,000 or 300 million in total project costs for those 6 projects. The actual participation level for MBEs was 17.2%. The value of that work for those 6 projects combined for the MBEs was over $52 million in work for those minority business enterprises. We also documented that there was 5% participation when we looked at these 6 projects holistically. And again, that's over $9 million in the value of the work. And then the average for all these projects cumulatively was a 35% city resident hiring, including, again, cumulatively 32 residents of each of the respective wards for those projects had been hired as part of these projects.
And those numbers are in comparison to the goals? So 7.2 compares to what is the goal for that?
Yeah, so that's a very timely question. So this chart kind of shows that comparative analysis to show that the 5% achieved WVE is just below the 6% goal. The 7.2 achieved MBE is definitely lower than the 26% goal. And then the 35% local hiring that's been achieved is, again, lower than the 50% goal that was established in the executive order. Just wanted to show a graphic of where these projects are. The blue dots on this screen are the projects that have been approved. The green dots show the ones where permits have actually been issued and construction has been started. And then the 11 red dots on here are the ones that have been issued the final C of Os at this point. So I wanted to kind of bring us to a kind of a discussion to say, since we now have data, and again, for the most part, we've been pulling the numbers together to try to get the most accurate data for today. But with some of these reports, there was actually some additional information that we really need to do a deep dive into. And what DPD really wants to do is again, now that we have data from each of these 3 phases, we can start looking at this. We can start looking at what are the challenges during the first 3 years of this executive order, as well as what the achievements are. You know, a couple of the developers who presented their reports included some documentations, and one of them was 3 pages long, where they talked about all of the efforts they went through to try to meet these goals. And then they talked about some of the challenges. So again, the second bullet point here is we really want to get a deeper dive into that and look into and have conversations with these developers and find out exactly what they found to be the challenges. And also some of them had noted that they're already proactively, or they had already proactively started to try to address this and find ways to better meet the goals. So, you know, we want to look and have that deep dive into what the challenges were and what maybe suggestions that they have for improvements. These conversations could be with both the people that have the final C of Os, but there's also a couple projects that have partial C of Os that they're going to be wrapping up soon. And they've also kind of expressed some, noted some of the challenges that they've gone through on this. And then I really wanted to kind of emphasize that, you know, this administration and this council really are striving to create an inclusive participation for all Chicagoans and to raise everyone to an equitable level in an equitable way. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at as we look at what has worked and what has been working on this program, and then things that we might need to do to help enhance and encourage and maybe support some of these MBEs, these WBEs, and particularly some of the residents that may not be able to get hired by projects. You know, one of the comments I received was they wanted to hire some of the local residents, but because it's a union job, they were non-union workforce, and so they couldn't necessarily bring them in on these union aspects of the job. So, I think once we gather this additional information and DPD can start looking at, what are the challenges and what are the ways that we can support and improve the opportunities for all Chicagoans of all types in areas of the city. I think it'll be a way that we can improve this program.
Any questions, Commissioner? Thank you, Ms. Radovich, because you especially for adding that additional slide showing the comparison between what has been achieved and what the goals are. And I think that the big question becomes how do we push that so that the goals are closer to, or the actual outcome is closer to the goals. And I think you began that conversation by raising what are some of the obstacles, or at least some of the perceived obstacles. Do you have any thoughts on what, if anything, the commission itself should be doing, what the department should be doing to increase expectations? And while you're pondering that, I'm going to go to Commissioner Villegas, followed by Commissioner Cox, followed by Commissioner Searle. Go ahead, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. So I just wanted to kind of get the how this is actually monitored. I know that in your presentation you talked about DPD and Department of Procurement Services that monitors of it, but I'm wondering, is it just the certified affidavit that is submitted, and is there a utilization plan that's kind of attached to it as well that kind of demonstrates or shows how they plan to try to meet the goal based on the scope of work and some of the trades that might be associated with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was going to say Alderman, Commissioner Villegas. What we've received to date, and I'm going to qualify this by, again, reiterating, I was really focusing on numbers and trying to get as much data as I could because I really wanted to have us a good data source for today. I would say of the 6 reports I've received, 3 of them include some very, very, very detailed information. One of them wrote a complete document that talks about all the efforts that they made. They talked about how, and it was actually a project on South Rockwell, an industrial project, how they had someone on board to do a lot of their concrete. It was an industrial building, and that business went out of business. And because of the types of materials and the types of construction they had, they were having a harder time finding the resources. We also got a very, very detailed report from Power Construction on one of their projects as well, where they talked about all their research on their outreach efforts. They talked about some of the challenge that they had, both with the MBE and the WBE, but as well as the local hiring. And again, I haven't gotten into all the details yet, but there's 3 pages of data in there when they also include some notes about what they're going to try to do or what they've started trying to do to try to meet these goals. I want to touch back on that developer from Rockwell. They actually wanted to call me. So we set up a call last Friday because they wanted to really explain that they really tried hard and that they had hired an outside consultant to try to help them with this. So, I think what we really need to do at this point is I still need some additional backup data on these other 2 or 3 reports, but generally what we get is or what we've gotten is kind of a breakdown, a matrix that shows the hours in the construction. It shows which subcontractor had the local hires by trade. There's also a spreadsheet that kind of shows who the MBE, WBE are. And this is on 3 of them so far that I've received this. I'm still pulling in the rest of the backup data from everyone else. And they provided, again, some language and some narrative to explain both their processes and their challenges. So I think there's a lot of data to be had here. And I think that conversations with these developers as well is going to be really helpful to try to find out, where the hitch was and is it something that can be an easy fix?
Yeah, so in previous position before. I was chief of staff at the Capital Development Board and dealt with tons of contractors, architects, engineers, et cetera. And, you know, the goals that are put out there as they're.
Oh, you froze up.
He'll be back.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're waiting for him to come back. Let me go to see if he comes back right away. All right, go ahead, Commissioner Cox, and then we'll see if he's back by then. Commissioner Cox.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, so Nancy, thanks for the presentation, and this, you know, collection of data is kind of essential to get the conversation started. Obviously, this is with a pipeline of 151 projects that are also signing on to this. We have to fix it. We have like no choice but to fix it because, you know, it's mostly geared to those that have not submitted a final report. So if they're signing on today, and we've seen everybody basically sign on, but they can't meet the objectives, then we have an inherent problem. So while I think that you can deduce a lot from the 6 applications that have been finalized, there is a wider sample that we need to tap into, because there are many development firms that are meeting those goals in projects. I mean, we've constantly heard of some of the efforts of Related Midwest, you know, CLACO as well. So I kind of feel like there are a larger group of developers that we should be polling to see what they think, not just the ones who tried to meet it and couldn't meet it, but that larger community. And I think the planning department is in partnership with the city council, you know, commits to a process that taps into the full kind of knowledge. I also feel that, you know, because this is a common practice in cities across America, we have to be mindful of the national data of best practices. I guarantee you there is a city out there that is meeting its goals. And if there are, we should know who they are and what are they doing to prepare and make it easy for developers to meet those goals. You know, we talked about construction, but you know, it's architectural services, it's engineering services, it's construction services, and it's financial services. And so I'm interested in the full cross-section of those services. So one suggestion is, I do know that CLACO in particular has taken an interest in this, and I think commissioned a study of their own and paid handsomely for it, that has a much larger data set than the sampling that we're talking about here. And it would be interesting to contact them and see if they would be willing to share that, what their findings have been. So it's not just how to make them meet their goals. I think we have to figure out whether this is the best way to meet our citywide goals for inclusion. Because then we also heard, and I think Alderman Villegas brought this up, we don't have minority-owned construction companies that have been primes to these rather large and lucrative projects. And so the same thing that is, you know, we're trying to promote, you know, minority and women business enterprises, the fact that they can't be bonded for the size of those projects is forcing them to stay a small business, when some of them clearly could be primes. And so what are the hurdles that they're facing for those who really are ready to not just be a small business, but actually to compete in the larger arena as primes? So there are 2 different things going on here. How do we make more of these professionals, position them to be primes, and what can we do in our regulations to not create hurdles that inhibit their growth. And then at the same time, how do we make sure that there's a full complement of professional services and that these developers who are committing to meeting these percentages can actually meet them. And I'm just not sure whether, you know, the list of qualified businesses should be something that we should be working on it and make sure that there are so many that they have no problem finding them. So I know that there are a set of things that we can do as a community, and I'm certainly committed to working with the aldermen and the commissioners to make sure we have a process that can get us some answers fairly quickly. This is not a year-long study. I think we can get this done in a matter of months and come back with some recommendations, hopefully, that are transformational, given the topic.
So for one thing, actually, I'm suspecting that Commissioner Villegas is asking to be let back in. So if Tech can do that, that would be great. And then Commissioner Cox, on your commitment that you just made for DPD to come up with some more elaborate resolutions, perhaps to, well, not perhaps, but to come back and present those to us, that would be great. And I think as we may take more comments from other commissioners, we may have some additional ideas and thoughts about what should be included in that, including the fact that, as I understand the presentation and the pre-presentation that I received, was that we're having a hard time getting people to even respond to the reports. So let me, we've got some commissioners have been very patiently waiting.
I address that last comment?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, yeah, let me just say this first.
Yeah.
I know that Commissioner Searle, Flores, and Shaw are waiting to speak.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think there's some things that we need to look at, both in how we process this and how we're tracking it, which is, I think, one of the other things that Commissioner Villegas was bringing up. And I will tell you that some of these reports we're waiting on, the developers, I've been speaking to developers over the past 2 or 3 weeks, talking to them. And in some cases they were saying, well, yeah, we got a C of O for a building, but we still have site work. Our project is not done. So looking at the right thresholds for also when the project completion date is, because, we need to be mindful of that their failure, at least in some cases, a failure to provide the report may not necessarily be because they just are not done with their overall project, even though they've gotten a C of O. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I was spending a lot of time talking about the few people that didn't meet the goals, but Brinshaw and Michael's development that did 4400 South Grove, they were the one of the 6 that submitted a report that they met and exceeded all of the goals. And I will tell you, they're probably another good to talk to, because my initial conversations with them was, yeah, it was hard, but we worked really hard to meet the goals. So I think they may also have some ideas too.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Searle, you've been patiently waiting.
I was wondering if maybe it's a way of calling out what we need, but could the reports that have been done so far be made available to other developers? I don't know if they can be public, but at least if portions of the reports became available, that might help future developers know what to look for or know what to think about. And also, I think if we can encourage developers to start earlier with their consultants, as as Commissioner Cox has said, it isn't just the contractors, it's some of the upfront people who can really add to their list. And this may be a hard one, but it would be interesting if we could reach out to the unions to encourage them to bring on more minorities, because I think this is a problem right there. There are a lot of union built buildings, especially in the great central area, and we need to get more minorities going there. So anyway, I would think those would be important things. And also, what we're seeing right now are the first, what we might call canaries in the coal mine, who were, asked to do this. And maybe it was midstream of when they were developing their projects. So hopefully, as more of these projects get completed and come online, we'll see a better percentage of participation in all of those categories.
Commissioners, I'm so glad we're able to have this conversation because oftentimes these reports come after a very busy meeting. We don't get to really flesh this out. So this is really great. We've got Commissioners Flores, Shaw, Burnett waiting to speak, but I'm going to go back to Commissioner Villegas to finish his thoughts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize, ran into some technical difficulties there. But this is a very important topic and something. When I was the chair of the Latino caucus, I worked closely with the chair of the Black caucus at the time to bring goals to these private projects, because if you take a look at the makeup of the city council, right now you have 32 out of the 50 members that are minority, and then you add in 2 additional Caucasian women, and it's 34 out of 50, which makes up 68% of the council. And I can tell you that that every alderman wants to make sure that there's some diversity and some parity, whether it be on the professional services side, whether on the construction side, and also on the workforce side. And so, Madam Chair, I would be interested in seeing if there's a possibility of having some type of subcommittee that can meet with these developers to talk about what are some of the challenges that they're facing, and how can we be of assistance? Because as a chairman of Economic, Capital, and Technology, and having to deal with tax incentives, we've run into some situations where some of the members, and rightfully so, have brought up the fact that they're lacking in diversity. And a lot of these the contractors performing in the private work sometimes do public work, and so they're well versed on some of the goals that are put forward by the City of Chicago and other sister agencies, but they get amnesia when it comes to the private work. And so that's something that we need to work together on. Also, take a look at the capacity level. I'm working right now to try to lift the thresholds of the minority women-owned firms, because right now they graduate when they meet personal net worth and gross receipts, and those thresholds right now are set by the Small Business Administration, and that's something that we need to take a look at growing, especially given the fact all the capital that's occurring in the region. You look at the $45 billion from the capital bill, the multiple billions at the airport, as well as private development. You're talking north of 20 to $30 billion worth of work in a 6-year period, and there's only so much capacity for minority women-owned firms. So I think that we need to have a serious discussion on this, taking a look at, since over the past years, there's been billions of dollars spent in the construction industry, and that's something that we definitely need to take seriously. And I know that the members of the City Council have expressed this, and so I would ask if there's a possibility. I don't know if that can be done, but at least having some serious discussion via subcommittee with these developers.
I think we could set up a subcommittee, and we'll get when we're done with this conversation, I'll ask for who's interested in serving on that subcommittee, and then we can speak. We can work with DPD to help us get that set up.
I'm interested. I'm interested, Madam Chair. I have to jump off to another meeting, but I appreciate you bringing this discussion forward, and I look forward to working with you and DPD, as well as procurement services.
Great.
And the rest of my colleagues.
Thank you, Commissioner. And before you sign off, one of the things that I'm going to ask Commissioner Cox when we get to the end of this discussion, if maybe next month, Commissioner Cox, you can present to us on where we are on the hiring, because I know there were a lot of concerns that were raised, including by Commissioner Villegas last time, about the inclusion and equity of the new planners that were hired and others that will be hired, and wanting to make sure that that reflected the parity of the population distribution in the city. All right, Commissioner Flores, followed by Commissioner Shaw and Commissioner Burnett.
Yeah, just along the same lines as Commissioner Sherrill mentioned about the possibility of making the reports public or semi-public to at least the commissioners, just to to hold these developers accountable and be aware of how they're performing throughout. Because I think now that we're getting these final reports, we have an idea of numbers, right? A clear idea of numbers. In an average of 6 developers is just not clear enough for us to understand who's performing higher than the other. So knowing who's way below the mark, who's actually, bringing the average up would help us to just hold them accountable for the next projects that they come back for. So that would be my suggestion from now on.
That's really great. I think that that's an excellent point, particularly because people make presentation and when they're requesting, but then I think we need to do a little bit more on the follow-up and on the monitoring on that. So thank you. Commissioner Shaw, followed by Commissioner Burnett. You're unmuted, Commissioner Shaw.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
You sure can.
Okay, thank you. Where was I? Okay, so I had 2 comments related to this. One, I noticed earlier that Nancy had posted a slide where, with some of the resources, and I think those resources were like MWB outreach centers, correct?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, one more time, Smita.
You had a slide a little bit earlier about, these are the resources, I think it was after this, how people can find. So my question kind of really, you can keep going. My question relates to there before this one. I think it was the one prior to this. So I think one of the things that
Nancy, can you go back one slide?
I think she's trying, and it's I don't know. It doesn't seem to be there.
Okay. I'm showing it on my screen. I'm not sure why it's not showing up.
Yeah, it was there. It's fine. Yeah, something like this. You have all these assist agencies. Yep. I think one of the things that comes up that has come up often during our, when applicants come and present to us at Plan Commission or otherwise, is people say, who do we talk to, right? So if you get minority and women-owned businesses and they come back and say, who do we go and talk to with all of these projects? No, we don't know who to go to, who's the point of contact, how can we let people know that we're here? And so one of the things that, would be great, and, and sometimes as a commissioner, people will come to us and say, hey, can you let so-and-so know, which, I think what would be nice is if we could have something set up, a phone number or a place where if, let's say, for example, Related comes in and says, we have this development and we're looking for MWB contractors, they usually have identified a point of contact. And I think it would be great if we have some resource that's offered through the city or through our department or through our commission that says, this is the number you can call and this is how you can find out of the different opportunities or to reach out directly to people. I think that's one. And then the other thing I wanted to just sort of talk about is,
before you go on, Smita, can we get a response to that? Is that something we can get set up?
I actually wanted to jump back in because I think that's going to be part of this bigger, broader conversation. And yep. When I was speaking with, both like the commissioner and the first deputy, Eleanor Gorski, and other members of DPD earlier today, Eleanor wanted me to share on behalf of them that DPD is going to be leading a working group to look at this. And they've already started kind of doing some of that outside research and looking at these things. Eleanor's really wants to reach out to whoever's interested, but it is a priority, just reinforcing what the commissioner said, that DPD is starting to look at that. And I'm actually taking notes as we're talking so that, and I'll obviously go back and look at the tape. So, I will definitely pass those on.
And I would just add
that I just
hold on. It also sounds like Commissioner, some of the commissioners want to be part of that conversation.
and I do think
I think that's
think
great,
our
but I
member-
think the comment that I was making was slightly different. You know, what I'm looking for is like, how do people get to these developers? You know, I mean, I can sit there at every plan commission meeting and ask the developer, hey, okay, great. So who's your MWB outreach coordinator and how does the person find you? Who do they talk to and what's their phone number? We can do that. And I can make a point of doing that, or we can ask them to include that in their presentation. But at the end of the day, one of the great challenges is how do you find the person? You know, how do you get in touch with all of these companies? You know, it's great if Clayco or Related or, you know, Crown Castle or any of the other, and let's be clear, those are the big ones. There are a lot of developers that are coming through, but how do you get in touch with their person? And people don't know how to do that. And we have to find a way to make sure that, you know, and it's as easy as a phone number or a website, or it can be us requiring them to include that contact info when they make their presentation for Plan Commission.
And Commissioner, you said you had a second question that you wanted to raise?
Yeah, the second point I wanted to make was just, you know, just in general on the spirit of the ordinance, as you're pulling out this data, one of the things that's also I'm curious about is as you find out that, you know, we're meeting 5% or 17% of the required of MWB. I'm also curious as to if we can have data on the breadth of minority and women-owned businesses. Is all of this business going to a couple of minority businesses, or is it going to many minority businesses? And, you know, can we find out how broad this is reaching? Because again, it would be fabulous to have, you know, have us reach out. There's so many businesses in the city of Chicago. Can we expand, you know, can we sort of at least know how many people we're actually reaching?
Okay, so before I go to Commissioner, well, I'm wondering, you know, actually, I'm thinking I'm going to take Commissioner Burnett's comments, questions, and then I'm going to allow DPD to respond to both your comments and questions, Commissioner Shaw, and then I'll allow both Nancy and Cox and his Commissioner Cox in his role as well, this is all in his role as DPD director to respond, and then you guys can go back and forth if you have additional questions. So, but Commissioner Burnett's been waiting quite a while, so I want to give him a chance to get in on this. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to commend planning for giving us that information. You know, it's always challenging dealing with developers and contractors because on the front end, everybody tell you what you want to hear. But on the back end, something else different happened, and then they tell you about all the excuses. So I think someone mentioned that we have to get them on the back end. And one of the best ways, and that's the only way, you know, I could, and thank God I've been around for a while, I get people on the rebound, right? If you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, you come back and see me, hey, dude, you didn't do what you said. You know, don't come talking to me, right? So I think on the rebound, we probably should make each of these developers, especially if they're coming to us repeatedly, show us what they did on the last project, right? What did you do on the last project? Before you even present, let us hear what you did on meeting these goals on your last project. That way it's on them, right? And then we can deal with what you're trying to do now. So my thing is always, how can I trust you to do something now if you didn't do it then, right? If you lied to me before, are you going to lie to me again? So I think if you, and when I do that to folks, the message get clear and they start telling everybody, you better get it right because he's going to get you. You know, he's going to catch you on the rebound, right? So I think we need to send that kind of message to these guys that, you know, on rebound, you're going to have to fess up and deal with this thing. Another thing I wanted to say, you know, a lot of folks, I'm going to tell you, and I even hate to say this, but I was so worried with all of these protests, right? Feeling with all of this racial stuff going on right now, you know, it just drums up so much anger in a lot of people. I definitely thought that they were going to tear up the construction sites in my ward because people are mad because they don't get construction jobs. They march on construction jobs all the time. And I definitely thought that they are so lucky that they didn't start going on these sites and beating up those guys and tearing up their equipment and everything because they so frustrated with the construction sites. I mean, you go to these sites and they have one brother flagging and 200 white folks working, you know, and it's so blatant, it's blatant racism with this stuff that they so blessed that folks didn't go and tear them up. And I hope the media don't take this and print it. Please don't, because I do not want that to happen. But all of these things and all of these things just keep staying inside of people, eventually it's gonna come out. All of this unfairness that's staying inside of people, eventually it's gonna come out. So if they don't deal with it, eventually something's gonna happen with this stuff. And they have to deal with it. It has to be dealt with. And I think it's burden upon us to try to encourage it as much as we can. You know, it's always a challenge for African American. When I sit up there and I tell these guys to partner with an African American developer, you know, I got to look at my white colleagues and worry about, do they think I'm prejudiced because I'm trying to encourage them to hire some African Americans, right? And the reason being is that they don't do it, and it's just challenging. So I think we need to do as much as we can. If these guys committing to do these things, they're trying to work with us, we need to encourage them to work with us more. I mean, one of the developers that came up to the table today, right? I had to talk to them and let them know, dude, you know, you didn't do this the last time. I'm not working with you no more. Don't talk to me, because I don't have to talk to you if I don't want to, right? And guess what? They did what they were supposed to do. Now they came up this time and they okay, you know. But it's like it's just you know, it's just a challenge dealing with these things. And we need, if we want to make sure that the city stays safe and things continue to go and flow, and folks continue to make money and things continue to build and our economy continue to get good, we need to address it, man. I'm telling you, it's gonna blow up in our face, you know, sooner or later. So I just want to say that.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Burnett. Nancy, you want to respond, and then I'll go to Commissioner Cox?
I actually would like to defer to Commissioner Cox first, and then I can fill in any details after that.
Okay, Commissioner Cox?
Well, no, thank you. And I thank you, Alderman Burnett and Villegas, for your steadfast advocacy for inclusion. You know, these construction sites and these contracts should look like the city of Chicago itself. And if you think about those numbers, and I think Alderman Villegas mentioned the majority aldermanic representation of brown and Black people. And so one would expect, at the very least, that we'd see that in the kinds of the numbers that we're reaching. That's going to take a serious effort. That's going to take both the carrot and the stick. And I think the DPD is committed to putting together a work group committee that includes aldermen and that includes Plan Commission members and others to get to the bottom of this, because I know we can do better, and we have to do better, as I think Alderman Burnett implies. There's a lot at stake. And so I just want to also, because this issue, business owners have been living with this and the difficulty of finding each other, we're going to have to be far more aggressive than posting names on a website and hope that they will find each other. I do think that there are things that we can do creatively to make that matching more easily achieved. And I think we would be remiss to not reach out to the hundreds of Black and women-owned businesses who qualify for this. And they can tell you how to find them. They can tell you how this system can be improved. So this will be a part of our work to reach out to them and get their suggestions as we kind of dig into this. So it is something that it has the attention of the mayor's office. We will probably report out, if you don't mind, to the mayor's office first. But yes, we will certainly both include Planning Commission members and report out at the appropriate time when we have our findings, just as we have today, to the Plan Commission. So I don't think we need to have a separate subcommittee of the Plan Commission. We just need to include Plan Commission members in the work that DPD has committed to doing.
So first of all, let me just correct, actually, it's not just Black owned, it's minority owned.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I just want to correct you on that language. Commissioner Reyes.
Yes, thank you. Briefly, I want to also commend for the report that Nancy and others at DPD put together. This is exactly the information that I was very interested in months ago when we were in person meeting, and I asked questions in terms of the minority participation, because like everybody said, when developers coming from the Plan Commission, it's very easy to promise anything to be approved. So I'm excited to see this. I do understand that this is a first step because 6 projects are not truly a good indicator, but I trust that the work will continue and that we will see monthly reports. I also want to say that it will be important to add to the next meeting in the agenda that we get an update on the hiring of the Department of Planning, because I also see that as an opportunity to have more minority participation. Thank you.
And I would be happy to report out because I came here with a mandate to build a planning department that looks like the city of Chicago, and certainly 9 of the 10 positions that the mayor has allowed me to hire are filled. So I will be able to report out, and I'm proud of the results. I think you will be pleased as well. So I'm happy in the next Plan Commission meeting to give you a full report of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. We'll look forward to that, because I know that the issue that was raised, I don't remember, I think it was last meeting, maybe it was a meeting before. I think it might have been a meeting before that was raised by several commissioners, was the concern that in the hiring, there were not sufficient number, in fact, there may not have been any Latinos that were hired. And we can provide you the data showing the 30-30-30 division in the city, not division, but breakout in the city of the population. And I think with Latinos being more than 30% of the population, equal to the other two major groups, that we need to see that represented on these new hires on the ground, those who will be working directly. And I think the concern that was raised by Commissioner Villegas was that in the Southwest side, for example, there were no Latino planners. And so I think we're looking to see that change and to see reflected in your report. And I know that Commissioner Burnett also requested some switching around to make sure that African Americans were represented in the South side, or was the West side, I guess, the West side where there were not any African American planners. So we'll look forward to that report next time. And then Nancy, from you next time, we'll also look forward to the update on where we are on the progress to expand the community development review process to allow for more community engagement. I think by then in fact, we may even be bringing an action before the commission next time, so we can keep that process moving. I think, I know with COVID has slowed down a lot of things, but we do want to keep that moving, and we don't want to get to a year and not have something to show for it. So we'll look for those reports next time.
One last thing in closing, because I did want to kind of reemphasize what Commissioner Shaw has said, and also what Commissioner Cox is saying about trying to get these businesses better matched up and out there in communication, because I agree, this what we have now and having websites and posting people like that hasn't been as successful. And in fact, the few people I even spoke to said, are there other places that we're missing? We don't feel like we're reaching out to everyone. And then I'll also say to Commissioner Shaw's point about who is that point of contact, as I've been trying to reach out to some of these development teams, I've had a problem trying to find that right point of contact too. So there's a lot of things that I think we need to work through. And again, I think we've got data on this. DPD, as Commissioner Cox has said, through other efforts, they're collecting other data from other cities and other reports. So, you know, I think this is going to be helpful.
Thank you, Nancy. So I did have a recommendation or a request. It's not just a recommendation, a request from Commissioner Villegas that we set up a subcommittee. Commissioner Cox, in his role as the head of DPD, suggested that he didn't think necessarily that we needed that subcommittee. I don't know if Commissioner Villegas wants to comment on that, or whether we should just maybe keep that idea in the wings and see how this proceeds. But I don't want to take away from the commissioners their right or request for subcommittees. But I think with the commitment from Commissioner Cox that he will include members of the Planning Commission in these conversations, I think we can, again, leave that idea in the wings for the moment and bring it back when and if it's necessary. So unless somebody disagrees with that, that's what I'm going to recommend on how to resolve those two differing perspectives. Okay, seeing no other hands. Okay, so I really want to thank Nancy for coming forward with this report. I think we were a little delayed in it because of COVID, but she stuck with it in terms of getting us the information. And I think the fact that we had a smaller agenda, shorter agenda and shorter meeting, 6 hours shorter than our previous one, this allowed us to have this more in-depth conversation. And it seems that everyone agrees that this indeed is very important, and we need to take a much more proactive stance, and adding Commissioner Burnett's perspective, also one that really builds in that accountability. So we will keep this conversation going and keep that legacy moving of this goal on the part of previous Plan Commission and the executive order of the previous administration. So this, I believe, I'm not seeing any hands, concludes this meeting of this month's meeting of the Chicago Plan Commission. And I'm going to need to do a roll call vote, folks. But do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, so move.
And
All right.
seconded by Cox.
Moved by Commissioner Burnett, seconded by Commissioner Cox. Commissioner Biaggi.
Yes.
Commissioner Brumfeld.
Yes.
Commissioner Burnett.
Yes.
Commissioner Cordova is a yes. Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores.
Yes.
Commissioner Garza. Oh yeah, sorry, he left. He was here for a majority of the meeting. Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Commissioner Novata.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson, let me look for you. I'm assuming that's going to be a yes. Okay, I don't see him. All right, Commissioner Reyes.
Yes.
Commissioner Searle.
Yes.
Commissioner Shaw. Commissioner Spizzato. Commissioner Tunney. Commissioner Villegas. And Commissioner Wagasbuck.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I see Commissioner Spizzato on there. Is that Commissioner Spizzato? Okay, I heard a Madam Chair. Who is that coming?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Cox. I just want to thank you for extremely well run meeting and for keeping those presenters on task. I think we're getting out of here earlier than anticipated, and you ran a wonderful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Appreciate that. And it's only possible with the cooperation of all of you. And most especially, I'd like to conclude by thanking our tech support. You guys have been awesome. And as always, our dear court reporter who's, I'm sorry, Noah, do you remember her name? You know her name?
Today we have Christine.
All right, Christine, thank you so much. I know it's really hard work, and we really appreciate that you keep up with us. I thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe.
Hey, Commissioner, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
I had an important phone call. Can I be recorded as a yes for that last vote, please?
You sure can. Thank you, Commissioner Spizzato.
I thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're good. And so with that, the roll call vote, yes, the motion passed. This meeting is now adjourned at 1:33 p.m. Thank you very much.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
Thank you.